Let us commence the inaugural of this interactive session with the Tamil Thai Vartha. I request the gathering to rise up. Gaurav Vishnu from 3rd year CSA will be leading us.
நீராறும் கடலெடுப்பு நிலமடந்த கேணிகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமெது தெக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறமுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகுமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போலனை துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகை மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிலமை பிறந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே. As we work to create light for others, we naturally light our own way. To mark the commencement of this special occasion, I would like to call upon the honorable dignitaries and the panelists to join us on stage in lighting the auspicious Kuttuvilakku. Now, I would like to invite Dr. L.S. Jayashree, Convener of the Institution's Innovation Council at PSG College of Technology, to deliver the welcome address.
எவ்வதுரைவது உலகம் உலகத்தோடு அவ்வதுரைவது அறிவு. Thiruvalluvar, the beacon of ancient wisdom, has emphasized the importance of adapting to changing circumstances more than 2 millennium years ago. Through this couplet he says, one must be open to acquire new knowledge, explore innovative ideas, and embrace changes to thrive in this dynamic world. The most respected dignitaries on and off the dais, a pleasant morning greetings to you all. On behalf of the management, principal, and staff members of PSG College of Technology, I feel extremely privileged to welcome you one and all to this prestigious Y20 meet of Coimbatore City. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, with its task force RIS, the Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries, which is an autonomous body of Ministry of External Affairs, has been in the process of organizing a series of brainstorming sessions in 50 Indian cities on selected themes. The objective of these brainstorming sessions is to bring together youth representatives to discuss and propose policy recommendations on various global issues. We wholeheartedly thank the Ministry and RIS for selecting our institution to host the Y20 brainstorming session on the theme Future of Work, Industry 4.0, Innovation and 21st Century Skill. The Global Leaders Forum and Institutions Innovation Council of PSG College of Technology deem it as an extreme privilege to organize the Y20 brainstorming session on the aforementioned theme. In today's rapidly changing world, the role of youth is more crucial than ever. Y20 is the official youth engagement platform of the hosting nation of the G20 summit. It celebrates youth, their ideas, and their immense potential to brainstorm solutions to the pressing global issues. It is a space where ideas are shared, collaborations are formed, and inspiration takes root. Give me 100 energetic young men, and I shall transform India. Such was the confidence of Swami Vivekananda on the potential of young generation. Way ahead of his time, he believed that young individuals with their energy and unwavering spirit possess the ability to change, to shape the future through their actions and ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us today a few such youth icons to grace this remarkable event with their valued presence. At the outset, we apologize to inform that the Honorable Mayor of Coimbatore City Municipal Corporation, Srimati Kalpana Madam, who was about to inaugurate this Y20 brainstorming session, unfortunately couldn't make it to today's event owing to some unavoidable official emergency. Though we miss to have the gracious presence of the first woman mayor of the city amongst us today, it is always a pleasure for us, the engineering fraternity, to welcome the distinguished achievers from engineering industry. And today, on that note, we have our respected keynote speaker and chief guest of the day, Mr. Sreekanta Aradhya, Global Head of Practice Industry 4.0, Bosch Software and Digital Solutions, Bengaluru, who has agreed to grace this occasion with great enthusiasm. Hearty welcome to you, sir. The Ministry of Youth Affairs has rightly assigned us the theme focusing on Industry 4.0 and innovation, as this city, with its strong industrial base and technological advancements, has been playing a significant role in embracing the concepts of Industry 4.0. We have carefully curated a lineup of expert panelists following the guidelines given by the Ministry. We are extremely pleased to present before you a group of young, energetic, and vibrant representatives of the future-ready industry as the panelists of today's session. Our hearty welcome to Mr. Nitin Jagannathan, founder and CEO, Schnell Energy Coimbatore. He is Mr. Nitin Jagannathan, founder and CEO, Schnell Energy Coimbatore. Next, Mr. Vivek Suryamurthy, co-founder and CTO, Everstage Technologies, Chennai. Next, we have Dr. Aishwarya Arjun, co-founder, Atre Healthcare, Coimbatore. Ms. Hanushree Murli, Director, Jananam National Nutrition, Coimbatore. She will be joining us soon. And Mr. Navneet Malingan, founder, Nanare Labs, Coimbatore. We take great pride in extending a very warm welcome to Mr. Syed Mohammad Ali, the consultant and coordinator from RIS, the one who has constantly guided us right from the formulation of the theme, the sub-themes, and the speaker identification, and helped us to bring this event to its final shape and finish. We welcome you, sir. We thank our Managing Trustee, Sri L. Gopalakrishnan, sir, for rendering us the motivation and support to organize an event of this stature. A warm and sincere welcome to our respected principal, Dr. Prakasan, whose valuable insights and guidance helped us tremendously in the meticulous planning and execution of this event. I welcome the special invitees representing various industries and institutions in and around Coimbatore who have accepted our invitation amidst their busy schedule to be a part of this Y20 event. Your valued presence today makes this event more vibrant as we eagerly look forward to listen to your views and deliberations. We welcome you all. I extend a very warm welcome to the respected advisor, deans, directors, heads of the departments, and heads of different PSG institutions. I am delighted to welcome the members of the press who have assembled here to give a wide coverage and publicity to the event. It's my pleasure to welcome the enthusiastic student participants from various institutions of Coimbatore who have gathered here with a lot of zeal, awaiting to seize the opportunity to collaborate, learn from one another, and collectively shape the future of Indian industry. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. Let us embark on this journey of exploration, growth, and inspiration. Together, let's make this Y20 meet an unforgettable experience. Thank you, and please enjoy the event.
Thank you, ma'am. Warren Bennis said, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Now, I would like to invite our principal, Dr. K. Prakasan, to convey the introductory remarks.
Keynote speaker of this Y20 brainstorming session, Sreekanta Aradhya, Global Head of Practice, Industry 4.0, Bosch Software and Digital Solutions, Bangalore. Mr. Ali Sayed, consultant from RIS. Dr. Jayashree, Dr. KP Radhika. The keynote speakers, Mr. Nitin, Mr. Vivek, Mr. Aishwarya, Dr. Aishwarya Arjun, Ms. Hanusri Murali, and Mr. Navaneet, deans, heads of departments, the press and media, Professor B. Ramurthy from TQM Cell, faculty members, students of other institutions in Coimbatore, and students of PSG Tech. A very good morning to all of you, and I join the convener of Institutions Innovation Council, Dr. L.S. Jayashree, in welcoming you all for this. Uncertain all the time. Future of work is, we don't know in today's environment, especially with the emergence of AI, artificial intelligence, Industry 4.0, innovation and 21st century skills. It's a very difficult task, but at the same time relevant to stay ahead of competition and be relevant. You have to very much be discussing on these topics. And we thank the Ministry of External Affairs for selecting PSG College of Technology under G20 and the series of events under G20. Today we have Y20 and some more events will follow. And the position of PSG Tech, that is very important to understand this, started in 1951 by Dr. G.R. Damodaran, the visionary of PSG family, who created this institution. Is a huge banyan tree with a lot of branches and alumni network, nourishing many other institutions, industries, and the city of Coimbatore has a lot to say about PSG Polytechnic College and PSG College of Technology. Many of the major industries are the creation of the alumni of these institutions and people of PSG Industrial Institute. Started in a small way, but the city has a big, achievement out of these education institutions. As a part of that, the ministry has invited the Coimbatore City Municipal Corporation Mayor, Honorable Mayor of Corporation, Tirumati Kalpana, but due to some urgent official task, they were not able to attend. But it is a great honor for us, for PSG Tech, to be associated closely with the Ministry of External Affairs and RIS and the corporation in a very high-level platform. And these events will have an impact in the history of tech as well as in the corporation, where they get into the map of government and various projects, various other activities will follow after the G20. One example is Smart City project is happening. PSG Tech also has contributed to the smart water supply, and many other forums tech is present. So the conferring of this status itself is a great achievement for tech, and we thank the ministry for that. And the vision of management is always clear: education and industry relevant education, societally relevant education, and the sustainable development goals which we have in our curriculum. I think everything is falling in place with time. And we have the right people to enlighten us on the current situation of industry, almost automation everywhere. And every industry is transforming into the AI-based situation, and the software, data science, irrespective of the engineering background. Now everybody talks about the skills. Mainly the skills are data-oriented skills. I'm sure the speakers will enlighten all of us on this. So with this welcome and my introductory talk, I wish to give a brief background of what has happened in these last few months. We share the pride of having hosted the G20 University Connect during March 2023 as one among the 75 educational institutions across India that proved a great platform for engaging young scholars and students to deliberate on the theme sustainability and the G20 agenda. I need not speak much about G20, you know. the geopolitical events that is happening in the world, and India, US, and India with many other countries. Today we are indeed privileged to host the Y20 brainstorming session for the city of Coimbatore, which is one among the 50 cities selected by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. The Global Leaders Forum and the Institutional Innovation Council of our college, two prominent student bodies. Students have given the major role in organizing and in going through such programs. Students' bodies have taken all the efforts to organize this Y20 brainstorming session as a structured panel discussion on the theme Future of Work, Industry 4.0, Innovations and 21st Century Skills Delegated to Us. Youth 20, that is Y20, is an official consultation forum of youth from all G20 member countries to be able to dialogue with each other. Maybe in the subsequent months, there will be exchange of students from these institutions, 75 institutions identified, and institutions from the other G20 member countries, even faculty, students, industry, all this will be involved in this process. It's a great opportunity. Y20 encourages youth as future leaders to raise awareness on global issues, exchange ideas, argue, negotiate, and reach consensus. Young people across the globe are regarded as having a more innovative mindset, in addition to their desire to adopt advanced technologies to make work more convenient and efficient. This will drive the incorporation of youthful perspectives into the global agenda with the aim of being promoted and acted upon by the G20 members. So it is a global process. Maybe some of you will take up the Indian Foreign Service or the administrative roles with the central government. So you'll have a major role to play in the years to come. The theme to be explained, according to the 2020 Global Youth Development Index, which looks at the developments in youth education, employment is a major concern, health, equality and inclusion, peace and security, and political and civic participation, the conditions of young people have improved around the world by 3.1% between 2010 and 2018. But the progress remains slow. If you read today's Indian Express, there is an article, Improve GDP along with reducing poverty. So these are all some of the topics which will be discussed elsewhere in several platforms, and you also get an opportunity to participate. In order to increase the rate of overall development of the youth, a significant financial investment along with a suitable platform, that is very important, where we invest for exhibiting their ideas is a requisite. Taking these aspects into consideration, Y20 India has included the theme Future of Work and the rest, especially on Industry 4.0 and automation, along with relevant sub-themes with an aim to increase the scope of discussion on important aspects. This theme is not just limited to technology, but also addresses the need for upskilling and reskilling the workforce to meet the demands of changing job market. In some of the projects what we get from Ministry of Heavy Industries, another mandate is to train, to skill about 5,000 students in 3 years of time. It's a major task. The theme focuses on the development of 21st century skills such as critical thinking, collaboration and problem solving, which are essential for success in a rapidly evolving and increasingly interconnected world. With this background, I hope this brainstorming session will bring out innovative ideas, methods, and solutions on the set theme that can be provided as inputs for final G20 declaration, which will happen in the national capital after some time. But more than all this, the current generation is very fortunate. Though you have enough challenges in your day-to-day life, especially due to the communication and the digital evolution of ideas, but you get an opportunity to interact with the think tanks of the country and other places, either online or offline. And some of you, I'm sure, will visit other nations in due course. With this detailed report, it is not a brief report. It has to be read as a part of this process. I wish you good learning and a very fruitful days ahead. And with these inputs, your academic path will become still enriched and you have a great scope in your career. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Vasantamani K., co-convener of the Institution's Innovation Council, to introduce our keynote speaker for the day.
Good morning. I take privilege of introducing Sreekanta Aradhya. He is currently working as General Manager Global Head Practice in Industry 4.0 at Bosch Software and Digital Solutions. He is an electronics engineer with MS and software systems from BITS Pilani. He has over 3 decades of industrial experience in manufacturing IT and industrial automation with rich hands-on experience in business acquisition, consulting, building digital assets, and program management. He is currently responsible for business strategy, portfolio development, and revenue growth in Industry 4.0 at Bosch SDS. Sreekanta is a hands-on practitioner in IE 4.0 with deep domain expertise in discrete manufacturing process. He has rich experience in consulting, designing, and deploying IE 4.0 solutions for global manufacturing customers. He has proven record in consultative technical sales and business acquisitions in Europe, North America, and APAC regions. Sreekanta has led global teams and has international experience of working in Germany and Japan. Earlier to Bosch, he was worked as principal consultant at Infosys and as All India Head of Applications and Training at Fanuc, India. Awards acquired by Sreekanta. Sreekanta was the Chief Solution Architect for successfully implementing the very first smart manufacturing solution from Bosch to an Indian customer. This was implemented from a pump manufacturer in Coimbatore 6 years back. For this project, he has won Global Business Award in Bosch for Best Deployment of Most Innovative Solution for his project. Sreekanta Aradhya has been heading the Center of Excellence IE 4.0 for Bosch Software. He has led teams in product innovation in IE 4.0. A particularly important need in IE 4.0 was about acquiring data from disparate assets on the shop floor. This need has been met by an industrial connectivity product called Device Bridge, which has been innovated and developed by his team. Towards this, he has been awarded the Bosch India Innovation Award for 2020. Sreekanta has been involved in academia industry interactions for skill upgrades. He has delivered series of lectures and webinars on IE 4.0 trends and skill sets needed in more than 25 technical colleges, universities in the last 3 years. He has been consulted for setting up syllabi on IE 4.0 in many colleges and universities. Sreekanta is serving as a mentor in Kalpana Center for Entrepreneurship, which has been established by the Software Technology Parks of India to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in Industry 4.0. He has been involved in mentoring and reviewing startups as a part of internal Bosch DNA program. Sreekanta Aradhya has been evangelizing in his speeches at seminars on the need for implementation of IE 4.0 and the benefits it could accrue for Indian manufacturing sector. He is a regional speaker on current trends in Industry 4.0 at national level symposium conducted by CII, STPI, ISQ, BCIC, and other industry bodies. Sreekanta has also authored many technical papers on current topics in Industry 4.0, such as industrial connectivity, sustainability, and manufacturing analytics. We welcome you for the sessions.
So good morning to everybody. So it's a very nice morning in Coimbatore, and had a very nice stay in Jade PSG. So when Professor Radhika told me that it's equivalent to a 5-star hotel, I was skeptical, but thanks to PSG for this excellent stay. And thanks to the faculty, the esteemed principal, for inviting me to deliver this keynote address. So my keynote session will focus on delivering maybe 4 key messages to the audience, basically in the Industry 4.0 era. I will also try to pull out some projects and case studies which we have done to possibly hammer those messages to you. So we will start with a small video which talks to you or tells you about Industry 4.0 and the world we live in. So the theme is change is the only constant thing in life. So the only way you can overcome change is to adapt to it. Audio. Yeah, I think that's the first message for all of you. We need to reinvent ourselves, or we will be consigned to the dustbin, or we'll be thrown out. So, Industry 4.0, as you could see, was the 4th industrial revolution which is upon us. It has started possibly around 8 to 10 years back from Germany, basically. The word was also coined by the German Ministry of Science and Technology. So, with Industry 4.0, one thing is we are going to change the way we work, change the way we live. So, to understand this change, let us start seeing the change from a societal perspective first. Next slide. Or can you give me that? So many of us think that technology brings change, but technology is only an enabler. The first change triggers come from the society or from the customer. So what is changing right now? One is the markets. The markets have become very volatile. That means no company can expect a constant demand throughout its existence or its lifetime. Markets change. Due to black swan incidents like COVID and other things, also markets change. So a company cannot exist or cannot think that its demand for products and services will continue like that. Second is individualized customer requirements. Possibly 25 years, 30 years back, we used to have very less models of products. For example, cars if you take, there were very few car manufacturers. And people were quite happy using Maruti 800 that days. But today, people are not happy with a mass-produced product. People want individual products. Even in your phones, if you can get some individualization in that, possibly a case made for you, you'll be happy to own such a phone. So this is one important customer change which is happening, individualized customer requirement. So the factories or the manufacturers producing it should be so agile that they should mass produce things, but at the same time, produce it in a batch of one. That means for every individual requirement, they should be able to cater to. Third is the social behavior. Earlier, product feedbacks or services feedback would be limited to you writing an email. But today, people discuss product feedbacks and service feedback on Facebook, Instagram, and all those things. So every company, every enterprise should be sensitive to this feedback, take that and change their product or services. So social media is creating a lot of change for the manufacturer. To adapt to this feedback, that means you should be able to get those data, analyze it, and use a proper technology to change your product. So that calls for agility in the manufacture. Shorten delivery times. Possibly 25 years back, when you book a Chetak scooter, it used to be delivered after 1.5 years to 2 years' time. But today, with Amazon and Flipkart, people would not be interested in that much time to wait for any product or service. People are used to getting your product in a week's time, 2 days' time, possibly a month time. So that means every enterprise should look at this expectation of shortened delivery time and produce quickly. Shortened product life cycles. We don't use our mobile phones more than 1 or 2 years, possibly 3 years max. So people change products. People don't keep the same products for a very long time. So the organization, manufacturer should be able to do new product innovations and bring it to the market quickly. So this again calls for agility. And of course, everybody expects service 24/7, round the clock. So in order to accommodate all these expectations from business or from the customer or from the society, a manufacturer who is producing a product or service has to rely on technology. Technology will give him the levers to become faster, to produce in batch, to produce more, to produce in shortened time, and to be agile and flexible. So Industry 4.0 is all about integration of the advanced digital technologies into the manufacturing so that this brings in digital transformation and gives a lot of benefits. There are key 9 technologies which normally we call it as the bedrock technologies for Industry 4.0. We have just put it over there. Most of these technologies you might be knowing or you might be studying. Very few of them which normally are more widespread I would like to touch upon. One is the autonomous robot. I was working in a robotic company around 25 years back. So robots that time and robots what you are seeing now are completely different. Autonomous robots are robots which work along with human beings. Earlier robots used to be put in a cage with a lock so that it causes problem to the operator. It can cause safety issues. But today robots work along with the operator on the same line. So they collaborate each other. How do they collaborate? We'll see it in a slide. So those are the kind of robots we are talking. We are also talking of mobile robots. Robots which can transfer materials from possibly your warehouse to your manufacturing line. Autonomous mobile robots. Especially if you see Amazon warehouses and all, there are thousands of such mobile robots. So that's the autonomous robots technology which is now gaining ground. Augmented reality. So augmented reality is a gaming thing. It started with gaming where you actually can put a person inside a virtual world, or you can possibly bring the virtual world in terms of animations or text or images onto a platform so that you can interact with your real world as well as virtual world. So this also has got great significance in manufacturing, in training, in customer experience. We'll see one more use case for that. Additive manufacturing. We were all used to possibly subtractive manufacturing where in order to make a part, you basically take out material from a bigger part and get into a smaller part. But today we talk of additive manufacturing or 3D printing, which is popularly known as 3D printing, where you create a part scratch by scratch or layer by layer. And this is going a big way. Earlier we were using it only for making prototypes. Today even actual products and actual parts can be made by additive manufacturing technology. Horizontal and vertical integration, data is the new oil. So any process, any manufacturer, any company, data is very important. You need to acquire the data, you need to store it, analyze it to get very good business insights. So in order to do that, you need to integrate all your assets. And once you start integrating, you will have a huge data, which is nothing but the big data, and you need to have possible mechanism to store it and start analyzing it, and that's where your data analytics, AI and ML come into play. Cybersecurity. Actually, this was one thing which really is going to make or mar Industry 4.0. Because earlier, cybersecurity is more of an IT kind of thing where you protect your data or your computers from any hackers. But today we are talking of machines, robots, people being connected online. Anybody who has seen Family Man, maybe in the first part you would see that once the SCADA system gets connected, you can release poisonous gases into the environment. So it can cause destruction not only for one person, but for the entire civilization or city. So cybersecurity in an industrial terminology is much more than cybersecurity in an IT world. So you need to be very sure before you connect your machines, robots, everything to the cloud. And that's one area where a lot of research is happening, and there's a lot of apprehensions in the customer to possibly connect everything to cloud and put the data in the cloud. And coming to cloud, cloud will give you possibly an extended computing, extended storage, extended analysis, which is very flexible. So these are a few bedrock technologies. Each of them is contributing to different solutions, different services for the manufacturer. Finally, using all these technologies, the manufacturer gets benefit like he can get better quality, faster production of products, sustainable products. That means you can be more green in your production, you can reduce your energy consumption. And finally, since you have got data on the fingertips, the right data is available to you to take proper decisions. So there is change in the societal outlook, change in the technologies. So the first message I would leave you is you need to reinvent. So there's a lot of change happening around you. So look at it and try to see what you can adapt, and look at yourself, what were you as is and what is your target or goal, and how do you address your gaps. Now, in order to possibly adapt to the change, the first thing anybody has to do is learn. Because technologies are changing so fast that unless you adopt a system of continuous learning, you will be really not be able to understand what is happening around you. So lifelong learning is the concept now. So you need to keep learning, keep yourself reskilling and upskilling, because what you have learned may not be suitable, may not be required today. So you also need to understand what are the skills which are in demand in the market. So some of the technologies which I showed in the earlier slide, all of them are very hyped, but what is actually being really used in the industry to a major extent? I have put some percentages from a statistical website. So if you see, AI is one technology which is really being used very highly, and there's a lot of demand for AI people in the market. So this is one skill where most of the engineers need to have. Augmented reality, computing, edge, fog computing, network and connectivity. So this is the way the demand in the market is, our applications are there, our investments are going on. So our learning also should align with this demand in the market. The next thing is, it's not only rote learning, that means learning from books. You need to actually do projects. When I actually interview people who want to join Bosch, we ask questions like, what is IoT? People say Internet of Things. Can you give an example of how have you done IoT in your project? People would not have done any project, or people would not have done anything on IoT. They just learned what is IoT. So practical things, experimentation, this is what is important. It's not just learning, because most of these technologies, rather than learning, until you have a practical use case and apply it, you will really not master them. So experimentation and innovation, these are bedrock of these things. So engineers should really start experimenting. And new ways of learning. Actually, earlier we used to learn with books, libraries, possibly internet, but with a lot of technologies coming in, there are new ways of learning. And the industry adapts it very fast. We had done a project to a German manufacturing customer. he used to sell machines in the entire world. So whenever he makes a new machines, he used to get the technicians from the individual market. Possibly a technician from India will go to Germany, be there for 1 month in front of the machine and learn the machine, and then he comes back. So this involved huge amount of cost for him because, of course, going there, coming back. Sometimes, if this machine has got great demand in the market, then they ship a new machine to the designated geography and then put it there, make the customers have a look and feel and learn about it. But today with AR, VR, we delivered a project to this customer where nobody needs to travel, the machine need not be dispatched. You can learn it wherever you are. So let us see this one. So this is a VR experience which we are giving.
As you can see, the different units.
So half of the screen is what I am wearing the VR glass, what I am seeing, and the other half is my room, where I am wearing the VR glass and seeing it. So as I can see, the entire machine in its 3 dimension is in front of me. And I can feel the different features of the machine. Possibly audio is more, much better.
And trying to see the bottom, what is there in the unit. Then I can see on the sideways what all is, the different units are there inside the machine. I can even go in the back of the unit and see what is there. So this is a unique thing. So from the back side I can see I'm now actually seeing the back end of the machine. Now I can see the inside of the machine from the back end. And then I can see from the front. Then I can actually move to a different position on the machine and then see a different unit. This is the FK11 unit, as you can see. You can also see the readings if the mission controller is connected to the virtual reality system. Again, I can see the different parts of the unit from all the various angles. So this is by means of the physical motion I have done. I can also do a virtual teleportation. I can press this, and I can get teleported to that part of the machine. There is a different part of the machine where you see the.
So as you can see, the learner gets an actual real world experience. And such technologies should come into academia so that you can make learning much more easier and much more fruitful. So the second message for the day, keep learning. Continuous learning is my second message. Also, Industry 4.0 brings in a lot of human and machine collaboration. We were talking of AI. We also talk of robots and machines working together, humans and machines working together. This is needed because each one of them brings their own skill sets. Possibly machines will give you more accuracy, repeated working, 24/7, no stop. Whereas humans can bring in their skills in terms of decision making, creative thinking, soft skills. So when they work together, finally the organization benefits with greater productivity, efficiency, and more innovation. And normally whenever you want to work with machines, you also need to be digitally literate. In Bosch, when we started this Industry 4.0 journey around 3 years back or 4 years back, we had a digital literacy program to our entire workers for possibly 6 months. People learned using HMIs, people learned using working with robots, people learned using programming. They were workers with possibly 25, 30 years of experience. They all had to be retrained. So digital literacy is one very important thing. Possibly people have to learn, all of us have to learn data analytics, programming, digital tools usage, collaboration tools. And then, many times we also get an apprehension that since machines are coming, we will lose our jobs or there will be technological unemployment. As I was telling, when we were selling robots 25 years back, this was one common question whenever we meet any customers, that will my operators lose their jobs? So we used to give them a lot of GAN that no, they will not lose jobs. Possibly their jobs will get lifted. Earlier they used to do operations, now they will do robot programming, now they will do robot maintenance. So there will be new types of jobs which are getting created. Of course, it was more in a theoretical way we were talking then, but look at the stock of industrial robots in Indian market. Possibly there were 6,000 robots in 2011. Today it's around 32,000 robots are working. But we have not seen any mass job loss in the industry, Indian industry. Nobody has really cried it out. So that means what? It means technologically you will not get an unemployment out of it. Possibly people will get reskilled, redeployed at different jobs. So that's another reason why you need to start learning. And this is something as a proved fact. Maybe 25 years back we were talking of robots. Today we are talking of AI. Possibly some of our panelists will talk about AI, trends in AI. So AI has also got the same apprehension that a lot of jobs will go. Yes, some of the jobs will go, but then you also can reskill yourself and get into a new kind of role. I also want to show one video on human-machine collaboration. This is from Bosch itself. This robot is made by Bosch. We call it as APAS. So here if you see, the person and the robot are working very close. They are not far off. The robot has got a skin which is having a capacitive sensitiveness so that whenever the human being comes near, it automatically reduces the speed of its working. We call it as a collaborative robot or cobot. And if it is so close, it even goes to a stop condition. So that means the safety is taken care of. So here the person is actually doing quality check, whereas the robot is actually doing pick and place kind of operations. So such human-machine collaboration is what is going to be the future workplace. So where people work along with the machines. So my third message for the day, collaborate. So collaboration is not only with your teams, possibly with your vendor suppliers, you also need to collaborate with machines. The final part, innovate. Because innovation is a must thing. Technology is changing, people are changing, the expectation of people are changing. There are a lot of problems, or you can actually see business use cases, we call it, or maybe requirement where you can develop a new solution for a requirement in an industry. So you need to continuously start innovating. That means whatever is your current product or current service, how do you make it better? How do you make it more market friendly? Or how do you meet an advanced customer requirement? So that's how the product innovation should be one thing which we need to adapt. Sometimes when you innovate, you're always, you can also have an idea that you might be innovating ahead of the actual requirement. We had one such case, possibly 4 years back when this Industry 4.0 hype was very much. We debated among ourselves and we thought we'll make a mobile app through which possibly a CEO or an operation head can sit in his house and see what is happening in his factory. So all the factory data, which machine is working, which machine is down, what is the efficiency today, how many parts are produced, everything you can see in a mobile app. So we developed it. So we went around to talk to our customers and tried to sell this app. Your mobile app and I don't need to pay for that. So we did not meet a very good success 5 years back. But come COVID, so during COVID, you can't go into a factory. The number of people going to the factory is difficult. So all these customers started calling us, sir, you showed us a mobile app some 2 years back. Do you have that? Can I buy it? So innovation sometimes could be ahead of the curve, but then innovation always gives you a result. So after that, we are able to sell a lot of such apps, and many of our competitors are also doing it. And I was also talking of collaborative innovation, where you collaborate with industry, with academia. Many times we even collaborate with our competitors. So that's something which is needed. And last thing is Industry 4.0 and the future work. Innovation is not only about product, innovation is also about business models. That means how do you sell, how do you really make money out of your product or service? One such innovation I want to possibly tell, because this is something which we have made. Normally tires, the car tires or the scooter tires, whatever you buy, they are sold in terms of possibly in capex. That means you pay some amount of money and take a tire. And Normally, he will tell you that this will come for 30,000 kilometers or 40,000 kilometers. That's the normal sale people do. What we did is, we went to a tire manufacturer. We told him that you don't need to sell tire as a product. You sell tire as a service. That means, instead of taking money from the customer at one stretch, you take money very regularly, annuity income. This will give you longer money for a longer time. And the other thing is, you also get feedback of your tires, where they are used, how they are used, so that you can constantly start developing your product. So we put a sensor box inside the tire. This could sense the temperature, pressure, humidity, all these things. And whenever the tire is being used, you can predict, using our data analytics models, what is the remaining use life of the tire. So I am going to sell a tire for maybe 50,000 uninterrupted hours for the customer. So by chance, I find that within 45,000, because of the usage, it is failing, I immediately can replace my tire. And then I also know how the tire is being used. For example, a fleet owner, a person who is having a lot of taxis or a lot of trucks, when he buys tire in a bulk, then he will have warranty replacements. So you will know what is your defined warranty terms and how he is using it, so that you can actually tell, okay, your usage is not proper, so maybe warranty is not valid for you. So you get as a manufacturer of tire, you are able to really control your warranty claims. Of course, lifetime prediction feedback from the customer. And what will the fleet owner benefit or the OEM benefit? Because he also is a partner now, no? So he has to accept your business model. So he benefits in terms of, one is performance. He never loses a tire when he is running the vehicle. He gets an idea of what is the mileage which this tire can give, whether my tire can give me this much mileage. He can also monitor how his drivers are using this vehicle, because I get an idea of what is the petrol consumption, all this data. So this is a win-win situation both for the manufacturer as well as the customer. So this is called as product as a service. So this is a new business model. So with IoTification or with Industry 4.0, such new business models can be brought to the industry. And when you innovate, you not only innovate in terms of technology, you also have to innovate in terms of the business models. So that's my final message for all of you. Continue innovating. So thanks for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Our dignitaries have inspired and motivated countless individuals with their accomplishments and have shown us what is possible with hard work, dedication, and passion. Their presence here today is a testament to their generosity with which they have committed to sharing their knowledge and insights. They have taken time out of their busy schedules to be here with us, and we're grateful for their support for this event. We now request our principal, Dr. K. Prakasan, to felicitate our dignitaries. Mr. Nitin Jagannathan. Mr. Vivek Suryamurthy. Dr. Aishwarya Arjun. Ms. Harushu Murali. Mr. Navaneet Malingam. Thank you. Now we will be breaking for high tea, and we'll be coming back together for the panel discussion. We will be resuming at 11:10 a.m. I request all the students to go to the A block canteen. You will be now. I request Dr. K. Prakasan sir to felicitate Mr. Syed Ali. Thank you. Now this concludes our inaugural session. We'll be breaking for high tea for, we'll be breaking right now, and we will come back at 11 a.m. for the panel discussion. I request all the students, student invitees to go to the A block canteen, and the invitees to the D block conference hall, behind the D block conference hall. You will be guided by the volunteers in the hall.
Check. We welcome you all back to our session for the most anticipated part of today. I request the panelists to please join us on stage. And let me begin by introducing the panelists for today's Y20 brainstorming session. I request the panelists to please join us on stage. To begin with introductions, Mr. Nitin Jagannathan is the founder and CEO of Schnell Energy Equipment, Coimbatore, a single product company with the goal of saving energy in street lighting. Today, Schnell Energy is recognized as a smart city and Internet of Things industry leader with presence in several locations across all major states in India. In addition to this, he is also the founder and CTO of KOS Theory, an entertainment provider which offers people immersive social experiences. Mr. Jagannathan is a proud alumni of PSG College of Technology and is a pass out of the batch of 2007 from the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. He further continues his education at the acclaimed Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. With an impressive track record, Mr. Jagannathan was awarded by the Government of Tamil Nadu for outstanding achievement for implementing energy-saving measures in lighting. Thank you, sir, for joining our panel today. Mr. Vivek Suryamurthy, our very own PSG Tech passer of the year 2009 from the Department of CSC, is a co-founder and CTO of PSG Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Vivek started his career at the D.E. Shaw Group as a software developer in June 2011 and stayed with the company till July of 2015. He then later joined as a project lead in Arcesium and played a vital role in the firm's portfolio accounting software and progressed in the company's ranks till April of 2020, when he decided to co-found a global software-as-a-service product company called Everstage. Everstage is a no-code commissions automation platform that removes the recurring busy work for your ops and finance teams and provides a transparent and gamified incentives experience to your customer-facing teams. Mr. Vivek was vital in building this company from a 3-employee startup to a 100+ employee company. In addition to this, the company makes sure that 50% of the employees are from PSG College of Technology. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Dr. Aishwarya Arjun is a 4th-gen medical graduate from PSG Institute of Medical Science with MD in Public Health. She's currently the National Health Chair for Young Indians and was a past chair of Young Indians in Coimbatore and was also part of the G20 Entrepreneurs Alliance at Japan in 2019. Dr. Aishwarya's dedication and passion for the field can be easily identified from her involvement in Champions of Change program by Niti Aayog and her presentation of ideas on the cities of tomorrow to the Prime Minister of India. In addition to this, Dr. Aishwarya is co-founder of Atre Health Tech, a startup with a focus on advancing healthcare responsibly. They have recently received the prestigious BIRAC grant, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, for furthering their dream of using robotics to make healthcare more affordable and penetrate into rural India. She's actively involved in the GRD Trust, founded and run by a family for children and from rural areas surrounding Coimbatore. Thank you, Dr. Aishwarya, for being part of our panel today. Ms. Hanushi Murali is the director of Jananome Natural Nutrition, a startup focused on providing quality nutrition with convenience for human and animal health. Ms. Hanushi graduated in 2021 as a silver medalist with a BA in Mass Communications from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. She is the youngest vice president of Business Network International Benchmark Chapter at Coimbatore and is also a trustee at the Paramparya Seva Trust, an NGO for women, children, and animals. Thank you, Ms. Hanushi, for joining us today. And then Mr. Navneet is a multidisciplinary software engineer with 7 years of experience in machine learning, computer vision, Internet of Things, and enterprise software development, where he researches and develops end-to-end ML and IoT solutions. Currently, he serves as the head of innovations at KG Education Institutions, focusing on fostering innovation, entrepreneurship, open source technologies, and community building. He's also a director and CTO at ANPOD, developing precision architecture solutions through GIS and robotics. He's also the founder of Nanari Labs, a leading company offering comprehensive IT solutions, educational opportunities, and innovative research. So with a never-ending love for technology, we would like to welcome you to our panel, sir, today. Thank you.
Thanks for the introductions. Good morning to all. I hope the tea has woken all our animal spirits. We are here. So the morning was only a trailer. The actual movie starts now. So we have 5 esteemed startups in different sectors from health, nutrition, IoT, AI. So we have got possibly 4 or 5 topics on which they will talk. And the modus operandi is like this. So each of them is allotted 10 minutes to speak on a topic. And then I will ask one question. And then I will leave it to you people so that you can ask the next questions. Feel free and do participate in this. Let us make it more interactive. Okay? Yes. So we'll start our round. I will call up Nitin Jagannathan from Schnell Energy. He is going to present on entrepreneurship with IoT, because we are hearing a lot about IoT, how products can be advertised, sensors can be put anywhere, Internet of everything. So he is going to tell how startups or how opportunities in the market are available for IoTification, how business can be curated. So all yours, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sreekanta. So it's good to be back in college. And my tutor is also there, so Dr. Natarajan. I think there's a video that, can you play it for us? It's just a minute video and you can just stop on the 7th step. So I'll just talk on the 7th step. Fine. So, though they have put 7 steps, I'll just talk on the 7th step due to paucity of time. Yeah. So I think it's a young crowd. So I think going, I don't know how many entrepreneurs are there. Any entrepreneurs there among the invitees who have already started up? Okay, great. And any budding entrepreneurs from the students who want to start up, who are looking? Nice. So, so my thing is entrepreneurship in the IoT environment, etc., and my experience in it, and what failure I faced and what learnings I had while going through those failures. So, one thing about IoT is, when we go and do a project, which is our final year project generally, what we do is, today it's become very easy, right? Either, I think in PSG it doesn't happen, but in many other places you just go to a project center and get a project. But hopefully that PSG, it's, you do your own projects. At least it was like that back then. So, on the projects now with IoT, it's very, very simple because there are so many pre-hardware modules that are available. You just go and get an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi, and then it's just software, right? And it's very fast. So what we probably took 6 months to write a code to get an SMS from a device, that was my project, by the way. So to get a meter or data, to take a data from a meter, and it took 6 months for us to take that to a computer with a SIM card. Today, it's probably, if you leave the final year student, he'll probably crack it in about 6 hours, right? But it took us 6 months back then. So, because it's so easy, it's very easy for the student to also get very complacent about IoT. Because you can do that project in 6 hours in a lab. So, which means that immediately the misconception or the conception to him is that he can do it at scale in a real life environment and it is going to be easy. Unfortunately, it is not so. So whatever you do with an Arduino or X or Y bought out hardware, when you go and put with one use case, go and deploy it in the field. I'm sure Sreekanta, with all his industry experience, will vouch for that. That whatever we do it on the lab, when we go back and do it in the field, you get 1,000 other use cases, 1,000 other extreme cases, which we've not written for, and then you have to be in the long haul to crack one application. And that requires a lot of passion and financial support, and you have to have a lot of doggedness to keep going at it. You have to keep trying to solve the same problem over and over again, which can be very annoying. So which leads me to that step 7 where we left out, which is product vision versus company vision, especially in entrepreneurship and IoT. Because the conception is that it's so easy, we get into an entrepreneurship with a product idea or saying that, this is my idea, I'm going to make a product out of it and I'm going to sell millions and millions of units in it, and that's how we dream, and that's how we start our journey in entrepreneurship. And in the end, we hit a roadblock with our first application, and then we all go back to our day jobs in CTS or TCS, right? So it is very important to understand the difference between a product vision and a company vision. So நம்ம புதுசா ஒரு product பண்றோம், which is based on a particular idea, it's great to start up like that. But then you have to understand that that product is not your life, and that is not going to be your life. That product will eventually run its course within a year or two, and eventually that application will become redundant. Your solution will become redundant. As an IoT person in this field, I can tell you that what we did 10 years back, we phased out 5 years back, and what we did 2 years back, we are no longer selling it today. Because so many technologies are coming, so many products are coming into it at such great pace that it's so fast, right? And earlier, geography was a moat. That is, if somebody makes something in the US, it doesn't come into India for another 5 years, 10 years. But today it is not like that. If somebody makes something in Europe, next 6 months it is here. And on the software side, it is even more faster. I think all the SaaS providers will know that if you do it today, you are already there in Europe, you're already there in the US. And if they do it in the US, you're already here. So you're basically not competing with people in Coimbatore or people in Tamil Nadu or India. You're basically competing against the best minds of the world. Same thing goes with IoT. Same thing goes with any kind of cloud software in the IoT environment. So it's important to chart out when you start as an entrepreneur with a clear goal of, this is my product vision for the next 1 year. This is the product that I want to make or manufacture or conceive for the next 1 year. But then chart out a progress path, chart out a path for the company itself for the next 5 years or 3 years at least, so that you know that if something goes wrong, where am I going to go? If this particular, because there will be a lot of times where your idea is in your head, but when you start implementing things or start working on it, you can end up failing in that also. So if it fails, does it mean you close the company? Or if it fails, does it mean you work on the same sector but for a different application? Or you learn new problems or you go find out new problems in the sector and then go and try and solve it. So it's very important to define that before you start up, that what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and therefore that leads to that product vision. But then what are other problems that could be associated around that single problem so that you can build a company vision around it. That could be a problem or that could be an application. Today, lots of engineers coming out of college, you guys, every 6 months now, the trend is changing, right? So current thing I think is ChatGPT. I'm on it, everyone's on it. My email writing time has completely gone down. Anything I have to write to anyone for more than 2 sentences, immediately put on ChatGPT, get a paragraph and send the mail. It makes it much more easier. We ask all our people to use it as much as possible so their communication skills issue is not an issue. Earlier when I passed out, communication skills was a big thing. If you speak proper English itself, you will get a software job. And probably 70% of aptitude and proper communication, you'll get a software job. But today, that's not a big deal because there are other tools and things that you can use to go beyond that. So if anyone's looking to start up and if anyone's looking to become an entrepreneur, I was a student entrepreneur. So when I was in final year college, I started up. So my final year project evolved into a company. So, but then every person has his or her own journey. So you need not be an entrepreneur at 18 or 19. You can be an entrepreneur at 25. You can be an entrepreneur at 40. You can be an entrepreneur at 60 also. The age is not the factor. What I would again reiterate is, at whatever age you start, if you are starting, have that clear path that this is what I'm going to be working on, what is the path for the next 3 years, this is the environment or this is the sector that I'm going to be working in, and be present in that. And for student entrepreneurs, make that distinction again between product and company. I think that is what I would really push, because that was a big mistake from my side. I had my final year project was for street light automation. That was my 3rd year mini project. That was my 4th year project also. So when we went and did that, what happened for the next 4 years, I was doing only that. So I became one application expert rather than IoT expert. So it took us a long time to then take our learnings and then move to other applications. Yeah, that's fine. So that mistake I did. So I wouldn't want, fellow budding entrepreneurs to repeat that. So 1 year pode, you have to start thinking about other applications with the same kind of product. So that is what I would like to reiterate in this short time again and again, though at the expense of repeating myself. I just want to hammer down that single point. Otherwise, the other 6 steps, you can share the video or something where you guys can just see. Those are just learnings through the journey of the last 10 years that I've had. In the next 30 seconds, that is Sreekanta has left me. The other thing is, don't get bogged down by newspaper articles on valuations and raising funds. I never raised funding from outside. So that's not a criteria of success, though that's a good way to expand and push. That's not the only criteria of success. So that's something that, because money can really take you in a different path. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Any questions? I'm open. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. That was quite a good insight into an entrepreneur's journey in IoT. I think Nitin talked of quite a few important things. One is vision. That means really the path you want to take, the goal you want to achieve. And he distinguished between a product vision and a company vision, and how as an entrepreneur you should be clear about both of these things. And he also talked of possibly the product shelf life going very, very fast. So you need to keep updating yourself with technologies and other things. And he also said that since you have ready devices available, solving a problem with IoTification is quite easy. And one thing takeaway for me is age is not a factor, so even I can also get into entrepreneurship. Thank you for that. Possibly 1 or 2 points from my side, since we were also involved in Bosch in IoTification of products. One biggest mistakes we all do is the business modeling of an IoT product. We think, for example, we did this tire project where we IoTified a tire. We also IoTified batteries for a battery manufacturer. We project very huge numbers. That means in first year it will sell 5 lakhs, next year it will sell 5 crores like this. And your total product pricing, what you will do is you will calculate that volume and try to reduce it. But the volumes may not go so much. And also, one is prototype building. Prototype building is very simple, but once you commercialize it, like he said, there is a lot of variables. Your prototype may not get commercialized as easily, as quickly as you thought of. So you will encounter time delays and you will encounter cost escalations. So IoT business model is a very tough thing to solve. So technology solution is simple, But business model solving, please be very careful whether you are going to charge only for the hardware, you are going to charge for the based on the number of volumes you are going to create. So everything looks rosy in the initial beginning, but then when you go through the journey, you will find it. So my one question for Nitin, since these days we talk of security, data privacy, vulnerabilities of a product. So how much an entrepreneur or a product owner is really should be held responsible for that?
That's a good question, especially because we are, so our business is in street lighting, right? As in that's our core, that's as you said, the revenue driver. So we have more than 1 million street lights that are connected, and we control all that in Coimbatore across about 20 states in the country. So more on the, not on the data privacy part, but in terms of security, cyber security. So definitely not only as an entrepreneur, but as a company and an organization, it's very important that we secure that network, because the risk is that somebody in Coimbatore essentially has the power to turn off the street lights across all the state capitals in the country. So with the flick of a button or with the press of an enter key, right? As long as he just needs to have a password. So that cyber security therefore is very, very important, especially in IoT era, because everything is so automized and we are so dependent on it that once you get hooked on to the easiness of it, there's no going back. So as an organization, especially being also on the government side of things, where the customer doesn't push us into cybersecurity unless he's been hacked, he never thinks about it. And he always keeps driving the cost down on that, saying, this I don't need, you reduce that module cost. So it's a big ask for us. So we don't even try to sell it to them. We actually try to bundle it always. And it's up to the entrepreneur or the organization to take that responsibility on ourselves. Because if there is a mistake, you're out of the market forever. Like if I, for example, if a data analyst goes and changes the time today, instead of like summer goes to winter, he goes and manually changes the time in the computer saying 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. he has to do. And instead he does 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and presses an enter, he doesn't see it. That day, that entire city is not going to have light for at least a couple of hours till the complaints come from the public. So we have to have robust systems and processes within the organization to ensure that never happens. So that responsibility should be there not only as an entrepreneur, but as an organization also, to build in those systems and processes at an early stage itself, so that you are conscious about the effect that IoT product or that solution can have on the customer, even if the customer does not appreciate or encourage that because of so many reasons. Because so many times the customer does not even understand what you're giving and the complexities of the solution that you're giving. He only sees the mobile app or the dashboard that you are showing. So it's very important that the entrepreneur or the company takes the onus upon themselves and delivers that with good cybersecurity practices.
Thank you, Nitin. Thanks. So now it's open to the audience. Possibly we can take 2 to 3 questions. Should we pass on a mic to the audience? How is it? Any questions to Nitin and his IoT journey?
Thank you so much, sir, for such a nice talk, and it's always great interacting with alums like you, so thank you so much, sir. Specifically like the point about product vision versus the company vision. So, my question is that how do you validate your startup idea when you are beginning? As you said that you were already working in your last year on this project and that evolved into a startup idea. So how do you validate it, and how do you also identify the target market? Because while you would have been doing this, there would already be some people in the picture. So how did you go about it?
don't have.
So, yeah, three things. One is how do you validate the product? I think now, I think the clear-cut idea right now is you build an MVP, a minimum viable product. I think that's the term used now, right? So you do something like a minimum viable product where you don't have to solve all the problems that are associated with that issue that you are trying to solve. You solve the most difficult or the biggest problem there, and then you go and what I did personally was I actually did the product. I went to a city council and showcased the product to them. They asked me to go and give a demo. They asked me to go put a box in the street light on the road, and then that's how I started up. So you'll have to go to a customer, go to the customer to validate. So the best place where you will learn whether, because we may think that our solution is the best, our solution actually is the solution, but then when you go to the customer will tell you that yours is not the solution. Like Sreekanta in the morning said, when I went, before COVID hit, of course, he said, I don't need your mobile app. I will get a guy to walk through, right? So sometimes you learn from the customer the validation part, whether your solution is right technologically, whether you are priced correctly, whether you have the famous thing, I'm sure the Americans use the gel pen and then spent $1 million to make a pen that can write in space, but then Russians use the pencil types, right? So things like that, you learn only when you go to the customer. So MVP and then validate it through some kind of customer you will have to go through, not just in theory. The second part, could you just repeat the second part of your question?
Hello, yeah. It's about the target market.
Yeah. Target market, see, I think when you start up, as I said, you start up basically with some kind of idea in mind. So the product itself, you have to go to a customer, so at least one person you should know that he is the target. So it's not much of a rocket science to, look at the whole target, this thing in mind. But then in general, you'll have to pick a sector, or because sometimes you will have a generic solution that can be applicable to a large number of applications. But then you'll have to start with one application. You can take one large application, like if I'm giving Industry 4.0 solution, it could be applicable for all process industries. Like I can go to a cement factory, I can go to a pharmaceutical company, I can go to a bottling factory. But then you'll have to choose one of those sectors and whom you have access to, so that you can validate the product and then start there, and then you can say, your TAM, that is your total addressable market, is $1 billion, $10 billion, etc. But then you'll have to know that there will be competition. The moment you solve a problem in one sector, there'll be somebody else who will take your solution and do it in another sector where they are strong at. So you'll have to come up with, who was close to your geography, or you may know someone through someone whom you can get access
yeah,
to.
it's something which you get to know as you move with the flow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, please a mic to them. So before you start, maybe 1 or 2 points on your question from my side. Our Indian CEO of Bosch tells about a term called happy engineering. So most of us enthusiastic engineers know we want to utilize all our technology skills and build a product. That's all. We don't know whether there is a market for the product or not. We want to build a product. So we call it as happy engineering. So happy engineering is not the end game. You always should work market backwards. That means you should know whether your product really resonates with the market. Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Yeah. So I really like both of your points about relying on market data for building the products. As recent trend states, I follow the book of Longtail. I'm quoting it from that. Profits are made by selling volumes of hard-to-find items to many customers. There's a shift in industry, or there's a shift in market towards niche products. How do you think that IoT will help in identifying solutions for customers in a very targeted niche area?
So in general, IoT, at least the part that I am working in, when you take the entire space of automation, like the cycle that Sreekanta had showed in the morning, IoT as products, they work in the data acquisition part, data monitoring, and in delivering some kind of control signals to the robot or something like that, right? So where it can help in niche processes is in the monitoring and control. So any control system, you want to have a closed loop process. So if you want to make dolls, for example, right? And in a process line where you are making dolls, if you want to keep engraving a different name, depending on the customer name, right? You want to put your child's name, and each one puts a name, but you don't want to take that from the line, put it in a laser, and then somebody types in the name and then do it. You want to do it as part of the same line. So there IoT helps, and where you put in through an API, you connect the sales channel directly to the machine, and there that individualization is possible today. Especially with lots of APIs, you're able to connect so many different softwares from multiple facets that talk to the production line. So your CRM, which is where the order, or ERP from where the order comes in, that is directly connected to the machine itself. So up to that, things are already connected. So that's where the individuality can help in the IoT can help in individualizing or giving those niche kind of products or identifying those niche areas.
Any other questions? We can take one more.
You have told that for building a startup, you have to define the path for 3 to 5 years, and we have to know about the product and the use case. And the other thing you told that is that for building a startup, you need not emphasize on pooling money or funding. But in business terms, for building a startup, we have to have the concern of funding, right? So I don't have much clear idea what you said.
Yeah. Let me, I think you got me wrong there. I said, have a clear path for 3 years as a company. That's certain. In terms of funding, what I said was, don't use that as a measure of success. Getting funding is not success. Getting the customer to pay you money is success. So that is what I wanted to reiterate, that as youngsters, we can get easily carried away by news articles, especially with Google News. You just have to scroll every day. You'll know that one company has raised $10 million or $20 million. This company is valued at $5 billion, $10 billion. And then after 6 months, you'll also read same company is now valued at $1 billion and then 100 million and then 10 million the next day, and it's shut. So it's very important that we should not get digressed from your path. So my intention of talking about funding was in terms of, it's not a measure of success. I'm not saying money is not required. Definitely it is required through some source. So if it is funding, if that is what works for the business, then you will have to go and raise that funds. But that is not the metric of success is what I meant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Nitin, and thanks for all the questions. So we will have one general round. Please reserve your question after everybody finishes, because we have still 4 more people. So we will go to the next session. This is very interesting from Vivek, trends on AI. So all your chat GPT, large language models, everything he is going to discuss on. So let us hear it and also see.
Can I have the clicker as well?
You want mic? Clicker. Yeah.
Okay, before starting the presentation, Nitin was talking about SaaS companies being global from day one. That's pretty much the story of Everstage. We are a B2B SaaS product company. From day one, being built from Coimbatore and Chennai, we have been global and selling to North American customers sitting in India. I wanted to touch upon a few practical tips on entrepreneurship before diving into AI, in continuation with Nitin's topic. So this is something I shared in a previous talk at Tech. If you're planning to start a B2B startup, try to join a product startup and work for that startup for some time, because you will be having two things. One, you will understand about the product and market, but also you will be finding your co-founders there. The reason for the importance of that is you'll not be able to do everything on your own. For B2B product companies, you need two sides, right? GTM and engineering. So if you're from engineering, try to find your co-founder from GTM in those product startups. And also, don't enter a fresh market. Don't try to create a market in B2B. Try to enter a market which is already there. There will be competitors, but it's not a bad thing. It's generally a good thing for B2B startups. And if you're planning to start a dev tool startup, join a large organization, product, or sometimes deep tech companies, where, as Sreekanta was saying, where you have time for happy engineering. try to spend more time on engineering side and try to develop the core skills and then come up with the innovative solution that disrupts the market in dev tools. And for B2C, generally, it helps to start with money. So try to raise funds, particularly if you're addressing the Indian market, because it comes down to how much of marketing you do and penetrate the market. And also unit economics is more important than TAM. So these are a few points I just wanted to touch upon before diving into the presentation. So the session is about trends in generative AI. So there are a lot of buzz in the news, a lot of developments happening. So the landscape is changing by the hour. So I'm pretty sure this entire presentation will be stale. I did this presentation yesterday, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be stale today. But the last 6 months, there have been a lot of buzz and development in this space, but everything started like 6 years back when someone presented this paper called Attention is All You Need. So that's when the entire transformer model was introduced to the world, and everyone started building on top of it. And what you're seeing in the last 6 months is the fruits that we are reaping out of the entire R&D that was going through in the 6 years. By the way, the image was AI generated via Midjourney v5.2. There's some cropped out. So November 30, 2022 is when OpenAI publicly launched its product. It opened up ChatGPT, and the entire tech world started exploring it, started playing around. And this post was posted by Mark Anderson from Anderson Horowitz VC firm. So what he did was he gave a prompt where to generate a conversation between two personas, one the journalist, the other one tech entrepreneur. And it came up with an interesting narration, not only about just the conversation, but also an in-depth conversation coming from the background of those personas. This was unheard of before. The conversation which has subject matter expertise. So that's the power of LLM, and there are so many applications all around of LLMs. Legal companies are using LLMs to go through tons of documentations. Medical firms are using LLMs to analyze reports and come up with summarization. So it's so good in summarizing large content of text. And as you know, there was a big wave of LLM startups the last 6 months where VCs were super keen on investing. And at least I know like hundreds of LLM startups have been invested by VC firms in the last 6 months. So fast forward 6 months. So 6 months is a long time, but it feels like a long time because of the advancement in this particular area. So after ChatGPT, we had like 3 new models: GPT 3.5, Turbo, and GPT 4. And GPT 4 is the advanced yet, and It performs 10 times better than 3.5, while Turbo is the cheapest if you would want to explore and build some prototype on it. And we have gone from 1,000 tokens to 32,000 tokens. This is huge because there are few solutions that works around the size issue, but natively solving that for 32,000 tokens is actually game changing because you can give so much more context to it. And Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Runway ML, all these companies who are solving different aspects of this have released multiple versions in the last 6 months. That's the speed of development in every vertical of it. And there's the entire world, new world being created by plugins and LangChain agents. I'll talk about plugins a little later, but if LLM is game changing, plugins combined with LLM is going to be massively disruptive across all the environments, all the departments and all the functions. So this is the journey of Midjourney. So if you see, the prompt is to create a portrait of Mr. Bean. And this is the output from V1 to V5. What's more important, what's more interesting is look at the timeline. The V1 was launched Feb 2022. V5 in March 2023. In just under a year, the advancement is huge. And they're not stopping there. They are creating multiple versions every month. And every new versions is having tons of new features. So generally, the images that we create via AI is aesthetically pleasing. It has its own style. So look at this image. So it's very peculiar. Any good photographer will be proud of it. The luminescence, it's glowing from inside, from the inside of the image, right? So that is particularly not achievable via backlighting or any lighting techniques. It's very unique to the AI-generated image. So look at the portrait of this. If you know, there is catchlight in her eyes. That's very a nuanced technique in any portrait photography. The small light in her eyes, that doesn't happen easily. That shows the depth in which it has understood the particular profession and produced this output. And AI can imagine hypothetical situation as well. Like Tom Cruise dancing on Indian streets. You might see it soon, but it hasn't happened till now. Or RCB winning IPL. So both of them were generated by Midjourney V5. And this is, I think, from last 1 month. All these, so there are multiple vendors in this market, right? DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and Adobe. All of them have launched a similar feature, which they call in different, Adobe calls it generative fill, Midjourney calls it zoom out feature, and DALL-E calls it outpaint, inpaint. But what they do is they take a small frame of an image and try to imagine what is beyond that. So you can look at this video. So it's not a video that was generated, it's a series of images that we have asked for zoom out feature, right? So you, okay. So these are memes that we have seen previously. With zoom out, we can imagine how it looks like. So the next one is AI product that helped in creating voice.
Hello everyone. I'm happy to be here at PSG College of Technology. This is a great program that encourages youth to discuss important problems. We are living in amazing times. Heaven's Day. Thank you very much.
So this was generated by AI, and the most important thing is we have had AI-generated voices before, but it's productized. Anyone can just open up, log into the product and generate any of your voices in like 30 seconds. And that's what I did next.
Hello everyone, nice to meet all of you. Generative AI has been growing tremendously in the last 6 months.
I didn't speak that, it was generated. So there are videos generated by AI as well, a lot of stunning visuals. And so one thing people were complaining about ChatGPT was its ability to calculate, do maths. And that's where plugins is coming into picture. With plugins, so plugin is more like a Play Store where you can have multiple different plugins where the companies make the plugin and give it to ChatGPT, integrate with it. And Wolfram is one product which solves a lot of mathematical equations and problems. So there is a plugin for ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT is enhanced with that skill set. And there are like thousands of such plugins available. So before plugins, ChatGPT will just bail out saying that it's a language-based, text-based LLM and can't do these things. So within software development, there are a lot of disruption. So I think Navneet will be touching on that more. But on a high level, right from product management, design, QA, development, how you write the logic, user interface. Everyone is moving to chat-based interface rather than a button click like used to be before. And that's getting disrupted by LLMs. And the impact on SaaS itself, the moat on the geo arbitrage, that's gone. Product arbitrage is gone, product moat is gone, technology moat is gone. The only moat is if you can build a LLM-based company, if you're building an LLM-based company, make sure that the data you're training the LLM, the fine-tuning the LLM is very proprietary and it's not commonly available. That's the only way to create that moat. Dark side of generative AI, so it has all its power, but it also comes with shortcomings. So this was an interesting case where a person sued an airline because he injured his knee while flying, and Swart's legal firm took up that case. And the firm used ChatGPT to come up with precedents, previous citations. And ChatGPT gave like 6 different cases, and the firm used those 6 cases in the court and then learned that ChatGPT hallucinated the 6 cases. It never happened. So it completely fabricated the 6 cases, and the lawyer went ahead and used it in the court and ended up getting a penalty for it. So it could be very, very dangerous if you're blindly using ChatGPT in any of the contexts. Creative side is fine, but anything that has to do with facts, you have to double check. And this is Frank Gehry's architecture. This is one of his famous building. All I asked was urban house similar to Frank Gehry's architecture, and it gave a plan architecture. It's not, we can call it as inspiration, but the matter of fact is it actually used Frank Gehry's images to come up with these as part of the learning model. So it's plagiarism. So it's using the actual binaries from the images of Frank Gehry's architecture to produce this particular image. So earlier we used to have this tagline in every product that says powered by AI. I think we are well on our way where we have to call out saying that we are powered by human going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. That was a very nice presentation, very visual and very eye-catching. So possibly few points to summarize your thing. Of course, you talked about trends, and we also came to know about that audio being generated and mathematics being used, because I had never tried mathematics on ChatGPT, so that's a new thing. So
My question to you is about the dark side, because this can create a lot of fake news, fake videos. You can also get an output which is against a particular community or against a particular region. So how do we really ring fence? What is your perspective with respect to ethics and AI?
Yeah, excellent question. I think as the world is super happy about the advancement, they're also equally worried about all these caveats. So I think there are a lot of technical solutions as well coming up to differentiate content created by a ChatGPT versus a human. But again, that's not going to be enough. So with respect to fake news, I think that's where source is very important and the chain of custody is very important, where technologies like blockchain should intervene and kind of have a chain of custody for sources. And news channels, I think they have to unlearn a lot of things. Last few years, they started picking up news from Twitter and social media. I think they have to unlearn and go back to the old times where sources handpicked by professionals and who have authority. So that's the way for fake news. That could be the way for fake news. But apart from that, there are a couple of other ethical concerns as well. One, usage of data itself, where more and more we use ChatGPT, more and more we use all these LLMs. We are actually feeding in the learning material as well. So being comfortable enough from a company's point of view, being comfortable enough and having a very clear policy on how those data has been used will be a prerequisite going forward for any actual usage in softwares. And in terms of plagiarism and other things, again, people are concerned. Not pretty sure how that can be curtailed because there's a very fine line between inspiration and copycatting. But in general, I think a lot of efforts have been taken to curtail all these issues.
Thanks, Vivek. Open to questions from the audience. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions to ask him.
So hi sir. So like it's a common question, like the belief that people have in AI, like a common question is like you show all the generative images, all the things. So what will the real digital creators and real content writers they do?
Definitely it will be disrupted, right? But the thing is, these are again tools. The single frame you create out of Midjourney is a tool. It's up to the designer and the creative person how to make use of it. So if you Google Midjourney movies, videos in YouTube, there will be plenty of them coming. What's happening is they kind of take that as base frames and Midjourney, there's a product called Runway ML. They have a feature called frame interpolation. That means you give two different frames, maybe 10 seconds apart, and interpolates the frames in between and creates a video for you. So these are tools available for the creative process, just like how we had tools. I would say that just that the tool got better. It's up to the creative person and the designer to make use of that.
Hi. In our early ages, humans are used to discover something or invent something. But in future, can AI discover anything or invent something that's not supported by human, that's only an AI can invent itself?
Yes. So the land chain agents, if you really look at it, it has the ability to self-correct. So with ChatGPT, you give a prompt, it gives a response. It's more like a handshake mechanism. But with agents, what happens is you empower the AI model to retry, revisit its response, continuously improve the response, even within the same request. So that's a hint where we are heading towards that direction, where we are making AI model autonomous. And yes, to answer your questions, yes.
So with LLMs and generative AI in like digital creation or something, that is fine. But whereas in engineering, how do we solve the problem like reasoning it out? Is that like research would move towards causal reasoning, or would it just be feeding in large amounts of data and then expecting the machine to spit out the information?
So with Copilot and Copilot X, that assistance is already there. what developers can enjoy today is they can just write a comment and the complete subroutine will be created with the context of the remaining of the repository. So it's not working on Unity, on isolation. It understands what's there in the repository and then answers your question or helps you write a piece of code. So that kind of reasoning is already happening in some form, even today, and that's just going to be better going forward.
Hi. I come from a healthcare management background, hospital management background. So I just had a small question. You said with LLMs and plugins, we can create a lot of like going through the patient reports and summarizations and everything. So how does it collaborate with decision-making models? Like we know IBM already has a decision-making module. So how can you use an AI-powered plugin to better it, or how accurate can it be? Because like you said, there might be hallucinated cases, there might be scenarios, but it is human life. So how accurately we can depend on it to, generate decisions on based on it, how we can improve treatment and such.
So in medical world, there is this very popular thing of second opinion and third opinion, right? So I think innovations have been used in that aspect as of now. All the telemedicine companies, all the digital advancements, they have been used on second opinions and third opinions. So similarly, LLMs could be used for analyzing reports as a second opinion and third opinion, not as a primary opinion. So obviously, it's highly risky to just solely rely on LLMs to read your reports and give prescription, right? But it could be aiding doctors, or it could be helping out you as a second opinion or third opinion case.
So the next speaker is going to speak on the healthcare, technology-assisted healthcare. I think you can reserve that question for her. Any other questions? Last question. I think the others can keep it for the end.
Audible? Yeah. So thank you for the talk. My question is regarding data dependency and the amplification. So it's regarding data dependency and the bias amplification. So generative AI models, as we know, heavily rely on training data that we provide them with. And if the training data is biased and is underrepresentative, the generated outputs can inherit and amplify those biases. So this can furthermore perpetuate societal, gender, racial, and cultural biases. So I just wanted to know that how do you think about this?
No, they are real problems. I think as we speak, companies like OpenAI, Google Bard, they are taking care of these things, right? If you try to give a prompt which is racist or which doesn't fall under the rules, you will straight away get an answer that it's not per their policy. So it is already regulated, gated. And moreover, you have control of taking the base LLM and fine-tuning the model with your own data, and that's what most of the companies are going to do. So that could be parody products which kind of makes fun of all these things and have a liberal data feed, but there are going to be a streamlined serious verticals and functions who takes data very clearly and make sure these biases are not there. But even today, there are Twitter accounts which has parody and makes fun of people, creates a lot of racist comments, right? But that is looked upon as a parody account and not so serious accounts, and I think that trend will continue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. So I call upon the next speaker, Dr. Aishwarya. She will talk about the technology-assisted healthcare, how healthcare is getting transformed using remote patient monitoring, telemedicine, AI-based diagnostics, and such things.
Thank you, Sreekanta. Thank you for inviting me here. It was really well organized so far. When Professor Radhika had called and the entire student volunteer team reached out to us, and of course, Sreekanta put the team together so well. I was telling him that we almost feel like we know each other because he organized for us to chat a little bit before the actual session, and thank you for that. I have quite a tall task without a presentation to go after Vivek, after that very fascinating presentation. I'm here to tell you two very important things from my journey in the last, actually not just journey in medicine, but ever since I was a child. Growing up in a family full of medical professionals, most conversations were, oh, when the patient is walking in, you already make your diagnosis, right? So you rely on your pair of eyes and everything in between. So that's as good as it could get, right? That was my early part of my life. Now, my family here is completely data-driven and very robotic, very, advanced, almost rocket science. So for somebody in the medical background who grew up with that sort of upbringing to come and now be exposed to what actually medicine truly can be by making use of all those tools that Sreekanta was telling him. He made my presentation easy because in his cycle that he showed us, most of those applications are now very well integrated into healthcare. Yeah, and I want to talk about two instances that really, stayed with me because of the use of technology, actually the lack of use of technology, I should say. This was 14 years ago when my husband's grandmother was diagnosed with HCC, a liver cell carcinoma at that time. And we lost her very quickly in about 1.5 years. And the robotic engineer that he is, allowed no place for human error or fatigue or anything like that. And he, over the years, tried to find how things could have been different for her. And eventually made me believe that if he got assistance from, all the other available help today, she could have probably been saved, right? So that was my first exposure 14 years ago. Of course, I didn't think very much of it back then. I said, on an ultrasound, you can only see so much. You couldn't have found a nodule so small and things like that. But of course, that stayed with me, and he never gave up, and every now and then sent me an article how things are changing, and you can't rely on one doctor to, decide your path in terms of diagnosis, treatment, and patient outcomes. The second thing that happened was not so long ago, was during COVID, when me and a friend of mine were, obviously, we all know the health system was overburdened, and most of us who didn't actually go out to see patients felt a little, restricted in that sense, and all the other very smart engineers I'm surrounded with on a daily basis suggested that we look at telemedicine to actually help people from our homes. So we started off, talking to about maybe 30 patients a day, and it was stressful. Let me tell you, it was very stressful because, as you know, when somebody was diagnosed, they went back, we asked for some tests came back, some today, some tomorrow, some day after. So you need to go back to, the patient's name, file, this and that. In the meantime, you're seeing so many more serious patients, so you're obviously not thinking about that patient when they get back to you in a day or two. So again, with the help of all the people, very bright people I'm surrounded by, they very quickly put together this platform for us to be able to see more patients and to do it with ease. The time we spent to see about 35 patients, in 1.5 months, we were seeing close to 300 patients. So that was literally my first-hand experience with what technology can do, especially in a country like India. Yeah, so these two things for me, I think, make me say that the future is here, and whether we like it or not, technology is something that we'll have to imbibe very quickly. Yeah. So, of course, there are many things that I don't think I'll talk about because clearly we were introduced to all these solutions through the morning. But I just want to say that I'll give you an example of each of the things that I personally use, and therefore I would vouch for things like this. Telehealth, in my opinion, after that experience during COVID, almost naturally led to the startup that I now work with called Atre. And what we do here is telediagnosis, right? So again, in our scenario where you lose a patient when you say, go do a test and come back to me, right? We all know that. 70% of diagnosis can actually be made on your first visit. That's what WHO says, and that doesn't happen in India because we go send them, I'm talking about, smaller towns and the rural areas, people don't come back. So there's no question of early detection of disease, right? Leave alone, going to the doctor and running preventive tests. So things like this, we said, have to be tackled, which can be. So we had the idea and we had the solution. There was no reason why we shouldn't. And everybody said it was my project in my final year in my MD, that the problems of the rural areas, right? So it was nutrition and it was lack of access to quality, reliable healthcare. So that was the problem we were dealing with, and instantly came up with a solution, and so that's where we are, working on advancing healthcare responsibly in India. And of course, another big thing in patient care in our profession is privacy. And everybody said, everything's on the cloud and people have access to so much data and things like that. So we obviously work a lot with people in that field, and everything that we do is secured. And the other question we always get asked about was like, of course, don't you need radiologists? Don't you need doctors? Our point here is not really to replace their jobs, but to actually help them focus on the more important things, like a patient rapport, and spend a little more time with the patient where the patient actually trusts that you're doing the best thing for him or her. And of course, again, fatigue and other things are taken care of by this solution. Yeah, that's the objective, I think, of mostly what we heard in the last couple of hours. And the other thing we also found very, very useful and we're working on is using AR and VR for training in medicine. So we have we're in the process of working on a simulator that helps medical students, like we saw in Sreekanta's video in the morning, have an actual experience of, say, a surgery or performing a test like the endoscopy or anything. So give them a real feel of a critical situation before he's actually doing it on a patient. And I think that is something that I could not imagine when I was studying back in the day, like 20 years ago. And so things like this, I think, are huge advancements in medicine that can be made. And I think the time has come to embrace these things. Okay. The other thing I would like to end before I finish is that, like everybody said, every day there are advancements. So, for example, what we're working on this ultrasound, remote ultrasound diagnostic solution is now it's still controlled by the doctor, right? But eventually AI can overlay the whole solution, and it can have a great degree of predictive value, and eventually the entire process can be automated. So change, like everybody spoke about, is something that we have to adapt on a daily basis, and the sooner we do it, I think most of us will benefit largely from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aishwarya. I think there was an insightful talk where you recounted your own experience in terms of why you went for a technology-assisted healthcare. So my question possibly stems from Vasool Raja MBBS movie. So normally we find doctors these days
a life of that option when it's there, right? So in my opinion, I think it'll be unfair to do it any other way. And this, in some sense, actually gives you more time. Like I said during COVID, it gave us, instead of saying, yeah, give me your tests and, give him a prescription, him or her a prescription, you were actually making a conversation. You were saying that person's name or asking about somebody in the family. Things like that you can spend more time on, and I think that eventually has to get integrated into our therapy.
Balanced use of technology. Right, now the questions are open for the audience.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the brief talk. So I'm from the medical industry. So right now, most of the doctors are believing the data which we are taking from the medical instruments. So then automatic interpretations are coming from each and every medical instruments. So since the doctors are completely believing these medical instruments, if you are moving to this telemedicine, how they can provide the proper treatment for the patients?
So, very valid question, and we get asked that question all the time. Will they be, so we're working on an echocardiogram right now remotely. So they're like, there won't even be a cardiologist in the room. But no, that's really not our goal here, to replace the doctor. The goal here is to make sure that the cardiologist spends enough time to build trust where and see as many patients as he can, obviously, but not miss out that one ejection fraction, for example, or that one single parameter that would make a difference for that patient. That's the rapport you build with your patient, and then convince them that the robot is making sure that the test is complete and all the 23 parameters that he may have not collected are collected.
Yes, thank you. One more question. So since we are having a lot of automatic interpretation from the medical instrumentation, so but most of the small clinics are going for the manual reporting. So sometimes they are mentioning the wrong reports. So how to avoid this kind of situation by inventing AI? Also, is there any regulations for this AI? For example, if you are coming to the medical, we have a risk management, quality management system, and biocompatibility likewise, we are following the regulations. Is there any specific regulation which we are using it for AI?
To answer your first question, yes, documentation now is obviously a lot of, first of all, waste of time, and there's a lot of chance for error. there are a lot of voice-enabled recordings that are now possible and being used. As far as regulations go, most of the regulations are similar to the actual doctor-patient relationship. The ultrasound, for example, that we are working on has the same licensing requirements and the others. Data collection, in fact, I think 2 months ago in India, there's a actual document that talks about patient privacy and what happens to the data, who owns the data, how many years the doctor has to actually keep the data, and before he deletes all that. So there's clear regulations for all that, even in India now. Thank you.
Any other questions? Maybe some question from the ladies. Some diversity is required. Yeah, I see a hand raised there.
Okay, hi ma'am.
Hello.
So actually I completed my engineering and biomedical instrumentation, and now I am doing my PG in data science, because we once getting into biomedical and knowing how AI is driven after my 3rd, 4th year, I thought like really AI can make a great impact in healthcare, and as you said. So I think you're already working on this and having a startup. What do you think, how patients are even driven into, like this healthcare AI is a journey of a patient depending on the technology or something like that. So how do you think patients are taking up technology, can decide, or I don't tell AI is in medicine or something like that, but it's a caution or telling a caution for this is a disease or these are the symptoms or something like that. So how do you think patients are taking it? How are they considering it in spite of medications or something like that?
So from my experience, first of all, the target group that we're dealing with had never been exposed to any medical service before this, right? So when you go to a rural area and give them this option of actually, diagnosing and treating a disease, that itself for them is quite heartwarming, right? And if you spend a little time, like I said, with the patient, you're already convincing them that this is a good, certified method of treatment. So having said that, of course, there is a doctor signing off on every ultrasound report, for example, or every prescription. Yeah, it's not completely AI dependent, and that's something I think we need to make sure, knowing very well the downside of it. I think that's something we need to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, one last question to Dr. Aishwarya.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, and thank you so much for your talk. And first of all, thank you so much for your service during COVID. Really appreciate that. So, during COVID specifically, many doctors would conduct a preliminary assessment of patients in order to determine the urgency of their need of treatment, which in medical terms is called a triage. So, to what extent AI currently play a role in life or death situations like triage, and what are the limitations and boundaries that should be set in order to ensure responsible use?
Great question. So there's two different things here. So the triaging in COVID was very different from anything else that we've seen before, right? So those parameters were almost basic and simple, because they needed to be conducted by anybody else that was, well in that situation. But in an ICU setting, for example, where a doctor is not always available, but there's a nursing staff, for example. AI is tremendously of use because it's very dependable, and those parameters are very standard, right? Like something as simple as a blood pressure drop or anything like that. So those things are specific, accurate, and dependable. So in situations like that, it's great, and I think patient outcomes have improved by 4 times, and I think the American Medical Association even found that 70% of hospital readmissions were reduced when people went back with, say, wearables, like patient monitoring and things like that. So those things are highly dependable and I think should definitely be used.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Aishwarya. Thank you. I call upon Hanushree. She will be talking on how startups can create new opportunities, new jobs, new regional developments, etc.
Okay, so while the presentation is being set up. So when Professor Radhika and her team called me here to be a panelist for this event, my first thought was, what am I going to be telling all of these students? So what do I know to tell everybody here? So I was wondering, what am I going to be telling all of you here? Do I give you guys some kind of stats or figures on startup life? Do I give you some inspirational mumbo jumbo that tells you, yes, go and get it? Do I sprinkle in some fancy corporate lingo like synergy, blue sky thinking, low-hanging fruit? And if you don't know what any of that means, it's okay. The second you get into a corporate, you will be bombarded with all of these words. No, I was concerned because just 3 years ago, I was exactly where you were right now. In a different college, but pretty much exactly where you were. I was a college student, I was a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, I was a little bit naive, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. Is it not working? Is the clicker not working? Okay, thank you. So Mike Tyson once said that everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Well, my big punch in the mouth was COVID-19 because it completely wrecked my last year of college. It derailed pretty much everything that I had planned in life, and it ruined a lot of what I had for the next few years for my future. So it was around then that my parents were, I think the clicker is not working. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So it was around then that my parents were researching plant-based health products because they're experts in nutrition and biochemistry. Now, I had no idea about any of this, of course, because I was busy with my last year of college doing it completely online. So when they completed their research and they had decided to launch Jananome Natural Nutrition, a company with the intention of bringing good health to everyone, they said, okay, now you run it. And naturally, I was clueless because this gigantic responsibility was being placed on my shoulders and just out of the blue, and I wasn't even done with college yet. Entrepreneurship was at least 10 years away in my vision board, and there I was as a 20-year-old trying to put every bit of experience that I had to run a startup from scratch. But by then, I had completed 2 internships. I had worked in the newspaper and education department in Times of India, Bangalore, and I had worked directly under the Tamil journalist Rangaraj Pandey at Chanakya. But even then, that was still barely scratching the surface. But what I wanted to tell you is that each internship gave me different takeaways. At Times of India, I was a minuscule speck, the most tiniest, insignificant cog in a well-oiled machine. In that universe, I was that tiny dot, and even that is wishful thinking. So basically, in a news agency, the main correspondents, they meet twice a day. We meet once in the morning and in the evening. So luckily, by some sheer dumb luck, my cubicle was right next to the conference room. So the only bit of learning that I had each day was when I leaned back and tried to overhear what was happening in that room. But it was different in Chanakya. Because in Chanakya, I joined when they had only one employee on payroll. The company basically started just 2 months earlier, and me and 3 other people had joined at the same time. I was the only girl, and I was the only 18-year-old on the team, so it was very challenging. But I learned more in that tiny, cramped workspace, working 14-hour shifts, just running on caffeine, than I ever did in my corporate internship. It's been 4 years, and everyone still remembers me. And the notes that I took and digitized form the syllabus for Pandey School of Journalism today. I was the youngest there too, and I guess that gave me a little bit of confidence to take on the really huge responsibility that I had in store for me. So over the last years, I helped grow Jananam Natural Nutrition one sale at a time. I basically had my hand in nutrition, production, packaging design, web design, media, sales, product development, corporate communication, quality control, accounting, and literally everything that I did not study for in college. I traveled to some different cities. I met many lovely people with just fascinating stories. And soon we expanded into animal nutrition, where we developed a one-of-a-kind plant-based product that could potentially reduce the usage of antibiotics in poultry, which could mean a massive reduction in the spread of disease. So we managed to validate this in a trial, and we got some really amazing results. And so now Jananam Natural Nutrition is a One Health company, but with still miles and miles to go. So basically what I wanted to say is, a lot of you are going to be leaving college right now, and you're going to be sitting for placements. And the age-old question of corporates versus startup jobs is bound to play out for you. Now, there are a lot of people out there who are feeling very stuck in their corporate jobs. I mean, even if you do a Google search, you get millions of results. There are so many people who are just feeling like they're in a rut with no growth whatsoever. At the same time, there are just so many people who are looking to start a startup. There are millions of people with those ideas. But like anything, startup life has its pros and cons. So the first pro that I'd like to say is that you will have your hand in nearly everything in a startup life. You will walk around with so many hats, so many balls to juggle, and you will learn a lot. And even if at any point you choose to leave the startup, you still have so many things to your resume. Because every day in a startup is vastly different. No day is just the same. Every day is so different. As you overcome each challenge, just like Yankee Doodle Dandy, you will have another feather to your cap. Not to mention, there is continuous demand for people like you. As of last month alone, globally, more than 500,000 people lost their jobs in established companies, and they weren't just fresher or opening positions, managerial positions. So many people lost their jobs. But at the same time, in India, there are around 100,000 startups right now, and there are 500 incubators and accelerators. There are 50,000 mentors and coaches, and there are around 10 to 12 US billion dollars that are being invested every year for these startups, and people are always on the lookout for people like you. One of the best things about the startup is that you have control over the corporate ladder. The ladder is pretty much yours. You will be a part of key decision making, whether you are starting a startup or whether if you're working in one. You have more control over your growth than you would in a large corporate, where you'd just be another invisible cog in a giant machine. As the startup grows, you will grow along with it. and you have the power to help make or break a startup. Well, that being said, startup life has its challenges. For instance, the idea in which your startup is built has to be at the right place in the right time. Sreekanta sir just mentioned that pre-COVID, his app was ignored, and then during COVID, everybody wanted it. So, as a really wise woman once said, timing is everything. So have you guys ever seen that meme where they said, you're looking for an adult to solve a problem, but then you realize that adult is you? Well, that's what problem solving is in a startup. You're alone, got it. You're alone in problem solving. The beauty is that if no one is going to come and save you, you get to do it yourself. And maybe one day you can do it for somebody else too. So I won't lie, it will be hard. You will get hurt, but that's okay. The hurt is good. Working at a startup can be risky because not every startup will succeed, but that's okay because a lot of you have age on your side. You can take the shot right now because after all, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I guess I should thank Professor Radhika and her team because this helped me reflect on how the last 3 years have been and how much I've learned over the last 3 years. If this made you want to choose the startup life, even for an internship, find the right one, find the team, and get to work, and hopefully I'll get to see you guys on this stage 3 years from now. As the saying goes, and on behalf of everybody else, I'd like to say welcome to the real world. I know a lot of you can finish this sentence. It sucks, but you're going to love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anushree. I think you made the startup life more enjoyable, even though your last sentence was it sucks. I think Anushree took on our journey from being a college student to a startup head. She also talked of a variety of roles you play in a startup, a single person being a technical head, a finance head, everything. So that's a good thing. And also she talked of control over career, definitely. In startup, you take great risk and you will get great money out of it. So my one question is, we also are looking at startups to create more jobs. I think even the government is looking at that initiative. But with startups coming in the scene, do you think stable jobs or so-called corporate careers, are startups really creating job instability in the ecosystem?
So I wouldn't say that startups are creating job instability. So with respect to job instability, at least in this point in time, I think we can gauge that there is a lot of instability whether you're in a corporate or in a startup, because both have its own risks. So we have a saying in my family that everything is a trade-off. So you have to make a choice in what you want to trade off. In a corporate life, you may have a standard job security that's being said, but now we don't really know if that's the case because people are being laid off left, right, and center, right? So, but in a startup, you don't know whether they'll succeed or not. You don't know whether the startup is going to go under. You don't know any of those things. But the beauty is, if you are in a startup, like me, or if you choose to take an internship in a startup, you will gain so much of experience that one way or another, you can always go to a corporate later on, go and apply for a job there, but you will still have so much of experience for you to hold. So when you go and apply for a startup job, and you compare yourself to possibly, when you, after your startup job, if you go and apply for a corporate job, and you can see your peers who were in corporate jobs from day one, you will see how you have an edge over a lot of them. So job instability is going to be there no matter what, but what is important is that you keep yourself relevant, you keep reskilling, you keep reading, and you keep trying to learn. There's no harm in learning, and it's important to be humble about that. So as long as you reskill, I think you have a fair shot.
Thank you. Field is open for questions to Anushree. I found she was taking too much of responsibility. There was a lot of time she was falling.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
So
afternoon.
being a person from the nutrition background, what's your stance on the lab-grown meat? Because countries like Singapore and the US have given permission for the sale of lab-grown meat into the consumer's market. So it has the same nutritional value as the original one.
So right now, what everyone is trying to do is they are trying to mimic the same kind of nutrient, the same kind of nutrients or the same amount of health that is there in a lab-grown product as opposed to the regular meat industry. But the thing that everyone does have to remember is that the second you mess around with something in the lab, not meaning to say that research isn't important, research is very important. The second you mess around with things in the lab and you consume it, you don't really know what effects it's going to bring to your body. There's a reason why natural food is being celebrated. There's a reason why there were certain practices before we went around and messed with it. It's good in a way that we're doing so much to prevent the meat industry from possibly exploiting animals. It's all really good, but we don't know what effect it could possibly bring you. So I'd say that all of these things need to be taken with a little bit of caution and a little bit of time for you to see what possible effects that it could bring to you. Because it's just come out right now, and we don't know what it could possibly impact yet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. A very relatable speech. My question is, if it not was Janano, what would have been your startup idea?
Good idea. So basically, I had planned around my entrepreneurship idea was 10 years away for me after college. I thought that I could go and gain some experience at a bunch of corporates, or maybe go back to Chanakya, work there for a while, build my career over there, and then move away and then start my own digital marketing agency. That was my idea. But instead, I'm here. I am also doing the marketing for this company while also doing multiple other things as well.
We have time for one more question, else we'll go for the next speaker.
Yeah, I'm a software engineer and I'm from IT industry. Generally in our industry, people will work for 10 to 15 years and they will gain a lot of industry things. They will have many exposure. And after the manager role, they will begin a startup after that. So they will get the knowledge of what the industry needs and they will have some exposure rate. But after, as a budding student and after finishing your college, you have built a startup. So what's the edge you'll get over them, or do you feel lack of exposure in compare?
It depends. See, it's a trade-off. So one thing is, if you're in a corporate, your systems and procedures are they're sacrosanct. Whereas in a startup, you are building the systems and procedures. So that will naturally take time. The second thing is, the edge that maybe I could possess over other people is that I got the opportunity to literally be on the field and figure out what it is that people want. I got to talk to people, hear their feedbacks face to face, sometimes brutal. It's to your face, and you get such first-hand exposure. Whereas in a corporate, possibly you might get some watered-down feedback where somebody is presenting a report saying, this was the feedback that we got from this person. It's not coming directly to you. Your ideas and solutions are a lot more direct when you are in the field, when you are present over there and getting it straight to your face. So in that way, you get a lot of first-hand exposure. So I'd say that's the edge that you could get. And second thing is, again, the responsibility that is put on you in a startup, whether you're doing an internship or not, it's a lot. So you have a lot to your plate.
Thank you.
Actually, corporates these days, they are also trying to adapt to this startup culture. For example, inside Bosch itself, we try to groom startups. That means suppose an employee comes out with a new idea, new solution, we try to fund it and grow that as a startup inside. And if it's really successful, then possibly that IP belongs to the Bosch. So we call it as a grow kind of system. The advantage with startup is their value system. People will be very agile. People will come out with innovative thinking. There is no hierarchy. So this cannot be part of a normal corporate hierarchy. So create it as a small startup inside the company itself. So such things are also in play these days.
And to also add to what Sreekanta sir said, there's a lot to lose when you're in a startup. You have so much to lose. So automatically you will put a lot of your effort into making sure that startup runs. And that grows you as a person phenomenally, even if the span is just 3 years of time. So yeah.
Thank you, Jayashree. So we will move to the next speaker, Mr. Navneet. He is going to once again touch upon AI, but from a different perspective, how AI technologies like natural language processing or large language models, how they are transforming the workforce itself. So what is the effect for the workforce from AI being utilized? So the role of AI in future workforce. Right, Navneet?
Yep. Thank you, Sreekanta, for the intro. And it's already 1, means I'm between you and lunch. So you guys are hungry? And you are providing lunch, ma'am? Or yeah, they're providing lunch. Then you are lucky here. Okay, cool. So I'll take 10 minutes plus 1 or 2 buffer minutes, I guess, because I'm the last speaker. And I'm going to talk about AI and the workforce, okay, put together. And thanks to Sreekanta and Nitin and Vivek, they had conveyed a lot of information on Industry 4.0, generative LLMs, language models, and IoT systems. So they made my job easier because I have a couple of slides on those areas, which I can quickly skim through. Which side? It's not working. Should I turn it on? Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what I do a lot of things. I'm an engineer, I'm a researcher, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an innovator, and also I'm a teacher. So that's the one thing I'm proud about. So I do work for multiple entities, and I'll quickly jump to this slide. So as a passionate engineer, I believe technology shapes the society. Like it changes how we live, how we do things, right? So if you take all these industrial revolution where Sreekanta talked about, so the steam power and that enabled import, export, steam engines, and a lot of industrialization happened. And electricity, again, it enabled people to do a lot of things. Again, electricity completely transformed the society to be, say, like, அந்த காலத்துலலாம் வந்து யார் வந்து நைட்டில் வேலை செய்வா? Who would go to work in the night? Only the hunters or some people who are doing some security jobs. But after electricity, people started working in shifts, a lot of industrialization, light bulbs, things kind of changed the circadian rhythm of people itself, right? And next is IT, right? So the IT, we are the victim of IT. Like not even a single thing we can pass like in a day without using IT, because our education is on internet, healthcare is on internet, relationships are on internet, entertainment is on internet, so everything is on internet, right? And the next revolution is going to be the 4.2 where this connected systems, AR, VR comes thing. But I want to stress upon the AI thing because that is where my forte is. I wanted to touch upon that AI thing. So this guy, Andrew Ng, how many of you know this guy? Yep. So he is the Stanford professor. He's the founder of Coursera as well. He just coined AI is the new electricity. Okay, so he's comparing the AI transformation will be as same as the electricity that transformed the society 100, 200 years ago, right? So if you see this, now AI, not now, maybe take a couple of decades or maybe 30, 40 years, AI has been mostly assistive, right? It's more of jobs enhanced, okay? But now we are in the phase where we are at jobs at risk. Because if you take jobs enhanced, okay, let's take an Ola application, okay? So it's a connected system. It gives data-driven decision making. It has Google Maps and a lot of recommendations, stuffs and all. It's more on the enhanced side, right? Okay, it saves time. You can easily book a cab and ride from point A to point B. But let's take in next 5 years, let's get Tesla, Waymo, or even Bosch is working on autonomous systems. They have cracked full self-driving, okay? Full self-driving in any complicated environment. The problem for companies like Ola and Uber is drivers, because manual errors, they become tired, they wanted to sleep and take rest and stuff and all. But if they could replace it with an autopilot, okay, there will be no profession as drivers. Like if you take a country like India, where driving is like a livelihood. Like you go drive and you make an earning. And that's basically how you live, run a family, right? But all these cars and trucks, like trucks, lane keeping is not a big deal at all. Okay, you just go to the highways, and for the next 100,000 kilometers, just lane keeping. Like even I've seen memes where people sleep in highways while driving the trucks, right? It's not that critical task. So if that happens, what will happen to the workforce? What will happen to these manual jobs and other jobs, right? And again, then the transformer situation where the AI becomes more super AI, like not the transformer, like the Terminator situation, where it tries to kill the people, like, but that we are far away from that. But the second thing happens pretty soon, right? So you could see a lot of companies started adopting AI. You can see this Octopus Energy company, 44% of the customer service email is now being answered by AI, right? No more humans there. So all the customer support jobs, routine jobs are already being replaced. And you can also see Freshworks. They've seen a tremendous amount of productivity using AI tools in their company, agile practice. And this is one company called Chegg, where people used to post their homeworks and get it done, right? But after ChatGPT, you can see a steep fall in their stock price, right? Now people no more need an assist of a human to do their homework. You can just copy paste your question on, not even like type it. You just throw an image, it will do the OCR and it will give you the answer with all the tables, formulas, and this company's stock price like suddenly fell. You can go do and research on that. Look, that's the impact of this generative AI, this ChatGPT have brought in these days, right? And this is again about software engineers, about Copilot stuffs and all. So while creating AI, people thought all these mundane, routine, manual jobs will be replaced. But all those jobs are safe, but the jobs of software engineers and other things are at stake right now, because the software engineers, they have dug their own grave. Like, so now, because previously, a software which would require 100 people, now you can deliver it with a 5-10 people with AI enabled. I've been talking to Vivek. All of those people in their company are enabled with GitHub Copilot, right? So you can see 10x, 20x productivity in development. You write test cases, do all sort of documentation and interpretation using that, right? So 2023, what AI can do? AI can do a lot of things, okay? So image generation, which Vivek had talked about. So this is Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa, some other new thing. They are taking selfies because there's no smartphone in those days. You can generate photorealistic images of those. And large language models. Again, this image is one path and text is another path. You have GPT from OpenAI, Llama from Facebook, Lambda and Palm from Google, and Bard, ChatGPT, and Visual GPT are the applications, right? So first three are the models which is running behind these applications, and these are all the actual applications. And this is an entire map. Like it started, the deep learning kind of kickstart, the deep learning GPU revolution kind of kickstarted in 2012. And computer vision was accelerated, but NLP was accelerated back in 2017 when Google released Transformer BERT, and after that, a couple of models, and now we are at GPT-4. See this. How many of you have tried GPT-4? Or how many of you tried ChatGPT, which is the 3.5 version? Mostly. So if you have a ChatGPT Plus, you can use GPT-4. So this is a question and an answer. See. In my house, on top of my chair in the living room is a coffee cup. Inside the coffee cup is a thimble. Inside the thimble is a single diamond. I move the chair to my bedroom. Then I put the coffee cup on the bed. Then I turn the cup upside down. Then I return it to the right side up. and place the coffee cup on the kitchen counter. Where's my diamond? Right? The same question, if you put it to a ChatGPT, which is 3.5, it is not so good in reasoning, right? It is more on just lame language generation sort of thing. But this GPT-4 is very powerful. It's a multi-language model. It's been trained on images, text captions, and a lot of text corpus. When you turn on the coffee cup upside down on your bed, the diamond inside thimble likely to fall on the bed, right? It's almost a general reasoning, right? It kind of had an IQ, and it tried to give an answer on that, right? And another thing, AI saved a dog, right? So you just post all the medical reports and numbers. It had given out what happened to the dog, like which the other doctors, veterinary doctors couldn't find. And again, this thing, right? So this is Andrew Karpathy, head of AI. Now he's at, previously at Tesla, now he's at OpenAI. He uses 80% of the code is written by Copilot, right? So that's the productivity is seeing in that. And ChatGPT just took 2 months to reach 100 million users. That's the kind of penetration that AI has in the market right now, right? So I'll skip few slides for in the short of time. But what are the 20, like again, this slide is entirely generated by, few slides as helped by ChatGPT. So top 20 jobs GPT-4 can potentially replace, right? I asked ChatGPT and it gave these answers: data entry, telemarketer, customer service agent, transcriptionist, translator, content writer, book reader, paralegal, social media manager, stock trader, scheduler. So all of these tasks, 100% in the next 1-2 years will be completely replaced, or else mostly 90% automated, right? And the business, if you see, marketing, sales, customer service, again, or sort of the roles related to the business aspects, everything will be replaced, okay? And what's the future? Like, so if you see all these things, if these roles are replaced, what are the new jobs that we are going to get? In the sense, I just asked the GPT-4 to come up with some creative roles where people might have when the 5th industrial revolution, like VR travel guide, drone traffic controller, space junk removal specialist. Because like as technology evolves, if we lose more jobs, more and more jobs will be created, right? Because it's sort of like we are creating our own problem and finding a solution for that, like in the sort. So yeah, I'll skip this as well, and I'll come to this particular slide. So we are at this phase, we call it as an elbow curve, it's a knee curve, where once the technology is proven, it will skyrocket, okay? So what you need to do in order to adapt and leverage AI, right? Reframe your thinking. AI is not your enemy. Use AI for your advantage, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing, identify the disruption. There's a disruption happening. There are a lot of startups are coming out based on LLMs and generative AI. Use it as an opportunity and try to make wealth out of it. And master relevant AI tools, because there is a new role that popped up called prompt engineering, right? So prompt engineering is the hottest programming language in the town, and people are getting paid. Today morning I took this screenshot. You can see prompt engineering specialist, NLP prompt engineer, full-time prompt engineer, on-site and off-site remote job. It's an actual role. You can see the description of a job description I've just taken, right? So, and some new tools in the town as well, right? Because now we are dealing with embeddings, large language models, there are vector databases, there are like LangChain, okay? So all these tools kind of popped up. There's again huge demand for people need to learn these stuffs and again to get a job in the market. And again, Sridhar Vembu, my favorite personality, is also told like, if you don't use AI or adapt to the AI technology, you will be replaced or you will become irrelevant, okay? So this is the amount of Y Combinator funded AI startups in the year 2023 alone. So I would like to wrap my talk with this one thought. AI will not replace humans, but a person using AI will definitely replace you. That's for fact, okay? Because as I said, a small team, our company is a 14-member team, but we are able to deliver quality products and service which would possible only with 50 plus members. But only if we are able to deliver, in the sense all our employees has access to ChatGPT plus, GitHub Copilot plus, and Stable Diffusion, okay? So we are using it for our advantage to grow forward. And AI will not replace you, but a person using AI will replace you. Keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Navneet. So I think, Navneet, one takeaway is AI will definitely replace many of our jobs.
Yes, 100%.
So, quite alarmist. So AI as electricity is one good quote, which is a good takeaway for us. So how do we ring fence yourself? Suppose AI is going to be such a ubiquitous one. So how do you ring fence yourself? And ethically, should we allow AI to continue replacing jobs in this scale, whatever you are projecting?
It will eventually happen because there is a market out there and there is a need out there as well. A lot of jobs will definitely be replaced by AI, no matter even if you like it or not, definitely will be replaced. Because if Uber and if let's say if Tesla comes up with an autopilot and it has an API where every other car manufacturer can use, don't you think like Ola and Uber will be like immediately adding it to their stack? Definitely they will do, because the headache for them is manual labors, right? But at the same time, there are ethical and moral reasons where there's a limit to which we could allow, and after that, because there's a lot of ethics, livelihood, and moral aspects attached to it as well. Like you can't keep on replacing things with machines. But the market is also shifting, right? Now we are in the third, fourth generation of engineers and entrepreneurs for country. Like let's take agriculture in US, it's already autonomous, right? Two people can manage hundreds of acres. But here, it's small scale farming to maintain 100 acres. Again, first of all, it's broken down into maybe 100 or 50, 200 different pieces, half a hectare, 1 hectare. And now the third generation people, they are into education. Like they no more have time to monitor their farm or do manual farming, but still they wanted to do. Even IT people are getting into agriculture. They wanted technology-driven thing. They wanted to the system to take care of itself, more self-sustain and take care of itself stuffs. So in that case, definitely this AI will help. But as I said, whether you like it or not, it will definitely take over. It's for the policymakers, companies like Google, OpenAI, and the government for it to decide whether how long it can go. And there is also another thing happened 2 months ago. People like Elon Musk and a few pioneers in AI, they signed up a petition to stop developing LLMs further. The thing is, the AI grows so fast, even it's hard for a data scientist or ML engineers who are like day to day, like we are breathing, writing, living AI, even harder for us to adapt, harder for us to keep ourselves up to date, right? It's so overwhelming. Like, and people are in the panic situation, like I will lose my job. The companies are in serious pressure, like even the Google is in pressure because Microsoft acquired OpenAI. They have released every product of Microsoft now as AI enabled. Now Google is on the high pressure to bring AI to their cloud services, right? So the pressure is there, but still it's up to us to decide and adapt to technology. Yep, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Navneet. Questions for Navneet from the audience? Possibly, we'll get a mic.
Hi, I'm Charulata Jain, alumnus from PSG Tech 2013, working with Bosch. For me, the question is to you specifically and even to that's why I kept my question till the end, please.
Okay.
In each of your journey, it was all about startup. It was you. The center core person was you. And AI or ChatGPT can never tell the journeys that you've gone through. 2 points which are burning for me and probably I missed out was change is constant, which started from your presentation. What should academia change? How should it evolve that engineers who graduate from universities are ready to face this dynamic world? What would be your suggestions? Because you have crossed the journey where you have graduated, you have had startups or corporate experiences. What should academia do? I think that's something, a pounding question for me which came up. Next is your startups which you're running. How are you adapting and how are you thinking to ensure that the ecosystem sustains for a longer time?
Okay.
I mean, the question is coming at the end, so it's open. But these were the two key questions which were, pondering in my head. I do have some thoughts, but probably.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my thoughts on the first question. And then
Yeah, possibly I will start off maybe one or two sentences from my side. What academia should change? See, one thing normally we in engineering colleges do is get into silos. We call ourselves as mechanical engineer, computer science engineer, electronics engineer, like this. These silos should go because the industry doesn't need a mechanical engineer or an electronic engineer. Industry needs a person who understands a variety of subjects, cross domain expertise or cross functional expertise. So how do we bring it in the syllabus of academia? They have to really decide that. Because when I was consulted by some universities, we were thinking of having a bridge course, possibly a course on I4.0 where mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, computer science engineers, all of them go through that. So something of that sort needs to come out. The silos should vanish because industry doesn't need that. For example, in Bosch itself, I have seen our mechanical engineers do programming. They have to learn programming. So why are we really siloing our education system? That's my answer.
Yeah, definitely a valid point. Because I would like to add upon that was when I was in college, our roommate, we had one civil engineer, we had one mechanical engineer, and I'm from electronics background, but I do software now, right? Like you see thing as an engineering. It's not about technology that you learn, like everything is engineering, right? And the second thing, how academia need to adapt. If academia in India especially, because if you take foreign, especially US and China and UK, all these research are out of the universities, not out of companies. Mostly either collaborated research outcome or an independent academia outcome. But especially in India, it's not so. It's we need to step up to that level. The opinion is that academia has to be a place for experimentation and laboratory kind of thing. Because now YouTube is there, ChatGPT is there, everything is on internet. If academia system doesn't change, you will become obsolete. I've met a lot of college students in Coimbatore. They wanted to quit college and do startup. They are thinking 4 years of college time is waste. That's a honest truth. That's the mindset among them. But again, college time is again valuable. But again, you can learn a lot of things from professors who have ages of experience in their domain. But still, the conventional system will be no more relevant. Definitely, there needs to be a huge change in how we do things in the academia. There are still colleges who teach programming in Blackboard. Like, so that needs to be changed.
Adding on to what Navneet said, it's not just academia in college, but academia in school as well. So what I would have benefited from, and I don't know whether a college or a school could possibly provide this, is a lot of practical exposure would have helped me rather than repeating what is there in a textbook, because it's not going into my head. If I don't understand why I have to do this or how I could possibly use this, then why would I apply it in the real world until I go into the it with their hands or possibly do it on their own and figure out, okay, I can do this. I can provide this solution. So I think a lot of practical exposure would help extremely. So that's what I'd like to add.
Yeah, I'll just add on. I think there is some peril here too, which is we are trying to build applications on a technology that is developed by someone else, right? And if academia, it's actually good in a way that academia is slow to change, because by trying to be fast to cater to the industry, sometimes what would happen, for example, right now, if everybody become prompt engineers, who will write the code to engineer it, right? So somebody needs to develop the next AI too. And the problem in our country as such is we don't work on the basic stuff. If you ask me, I'm a EEE engineer, supposedly. If you ask me how to make a transistor, I can define a transistor. How to make a transistor, I'm sure 90% or 99% of the people here won't know. So that means you're dependent on someone else, some other country, or a few select people in the world who know how to make a transistor. Is the knowledge out there? Yes, the knowledge is there. But there is not knowledge. That fact is out there. But the actual people making that, the actual people who know how to make that, that is very, very limited, and that is dwindling. Because it's much easier to ride a car or drive a car than to build a car. And the number of people who can build a car are dwindling, and it will keep on dwindling with more and more of use of tech. So which means that the rich get richer, poor get poorer, will only expand more because we all become dependent on the technology that we use. So the more tools we are given, the more handicap that you get as a person, and the more handicap we will get if the academia keeps feeding us to learn from the tools that is being presented already in the market. Because the academia's interest should also be in teaching us the basic stuff. We need to know what a steam engine is, though there may not be a steam engine available or running through anywhere. We need to know. There is no other option, because only then we will understand why a steam engine came first before AI, right? And how AI is still dependent on the principles of steam engine. And AI has to run on a server. And the server needs energy. The energy needs electricity. And the electricity, if it needs to be green energy, it needs to probably have an engineer who does geothermal energy. And for geothermal energy, you need to know how a steam engine runs, right? So that link and that chain is definitely required. But as she rightly said, some of the things go as theory. It takes about 5 to 10 years in the industry to start understanding the concepts that were taught in college to be applied later to life and why it is important. So the importance of such basic theory, if that is told more in the academia and the applications of it, that definitely will help is my take. That's one. Second, on the jobs, just to add on the jobs, see, whether a particular role will be eliminated, definitely yes. But will we lose our jobs or will people lose our jobs may not necessarily be true. It's just that industry and the world runs towards more efficiency and better productivity, which means that a software engineer is not going to lose his job. It's just that the software engineer, instead of writing a software in 6 months, will now write that same software in 1 month, which means that the customer will come back to you for a better version of it in the next month, instead of waiting to use it for another 6 months and then come back. It's just that if you see that 1 to 4 generations and see the timeline gap in it, it is 100. Probably if you go before the steam engine, that will probably be fire or tools, right? Or Iron Age. That would have been 1,000 or 1,500 years. Then from steam engine to electricity, it's 100 years. So the hockey stick moment has already started, which means that from the IT era to AI is only 20. And AI to the next era is probably 10. And the next to the next will probably be 5, right? What that is going to be itself, we do not know. But we'll just have to be aware that change is quoting him to the same thing what you quoted, which is change is not the problem. Change is constant, but change is not the problem. Resistance to change is the problem. So with that, I'll close my remarks.
Yeah. Thanks, Nitin. I think that was quite a philosophical rebuttal for the alarmist thing. I really agree to that. Because I think even 10 years, 15 years back, when engineering picked up steam with all the IT service providers offering good salaries, there was a cry that people are not going to basic research and basic sciences. That means BSc, MSc, those things, there were no takers. Everybody was coming to IT or BE, electronics kind of thing. So there was a call that people should take more of basic research and all. So I think now we have stepped into another thing that we need to possibly do more of basic engineering rather than looking at applied engineering. Good. Thank you.
So I agree with the point where we need to focus more on basic research, right? But I think fundamentally something has to change for that. I see a lot of people are doing research to get their PhD so that they can advance in a different career. They're not thinking research as a career path, like some places in the US institutions. So I think that fundamentally has to change. What can we do to encourage people to pursue a career completely in research and make a living out of it? So that's a practical problem, right? You do research for getting a PhD so that you make living in a different career. That's not healthy. So that's point one. But coming back to what we can do at college level, I think we need to ban or deprecate the term out of syllabus and so today we have a lot of assignments, we give a lot of small projects. I think we have to move towards product building right at college to get the complete holistic experience. And that was an excellent point by Sreekanta, where collaboration across multiple disciplines will give a real world exposure on how all these are connected. So we're not living in silos, we don't have to learn in silos. Thanks.
To add on to that, why I talked of collaboration is, even today, the industry problems, let us say I have huge amount of rejections in a wheel manufacturing company. Now I can put a lot of data analysts and data scientists to develop the technology. But the actual problem solution or the algorithm for the solution doesn't come from the IT engineers or the data scientists. It is a subject matter expert who understands how the alloy wheel is made and what all parameters really constitute for a rejection in that. So they are more valued. So even in many of our AI projects, the valuable inputs normally comes from the customer or from the domain expert. So it's not that you learn only IT. You should have a domain flavor to it. Maybe you understand discrete manufacturing very well, or maybe you understand process very well. So some domain you should really have a depth. So technology alone will not solve problems. Aishwarya, any closing points? Because I think most of us are feeling pang of hunger. So I think we should take that question and close it. Everything is covered. So should we close the session? Yes. So thanks to, I think there is one lady. For ladies, we should never say no. So we'll have this question and close it.
Thank you so much for graciously accepting my question. I have two questions actually. One is to ma'am, just to know what she had told all the positive aspects of AI and technology in healthcare. What are the challenges faced by her on day-to-day basis? One is that. Two is to sir and in general to all of you. There are a lot of careers or services where human workforce is still playing a major part, like say healthcare. So how can we enable them or help them better their communication, or how do they manage their processes? How can AI or IoT help them? And how can management or the senior management in general use IoTs and AIs in hospitals and healthcare setups to better their processes and better the quality of patient care delivered to the patient? Yeah.
Thank you. I think both questions can be answered by Dr. Aishwarya.
I'll keep it quick. Of course, I personally haven't experienced any, thing going wrong so far in AI, but just as you see how much it actually advances everything else in terms of research, for example, a lot of results can be manipulated by, let's say, a pharmaceutical company or any other research firm that's has access to a large amount of data. That, in my opinion, would be the biggest threat. And of course, smaller things like, a doctor trying to manipulate a need of a surgery, for example. Things like that are smaller, more personal things that can go wrong. But yeah, I think we should look at the other side of it and, make the most of what good it does.
Yeah, regarding educating the healthcare professionals, okay, so if you take, still there is a lot of things needs to be done where AI can help physicians to serve more people. Like if you take a WHO patient to doctor ratio, which is 1:1,000, I guess. In India, it's almost 1:1,500, but in Tamil Nadu it's better, it's 1:250. We are far ahead, we are better. But if you take countries like Africa or some third world country, the ratio is again quite high, 1:10,000 or 1:5,000, where a single doctor can't address or diagnose all the patient's stuffs, right? In that case, an AI system, maybe a radiology system or some data analytics system can do a pre-analysis and like diagnose the patient on priority basis, like where a serious case can be addressed first and a later case can be postponed maybe a day or two, because now based on first come first serve basis, right? We don't have any report. Like we are not like US where every data right from birth to death is on internet. Like we have still yet to adapt all these healthcare ERP systems, and even India has just started this Ayushman Bharat stuffs and all. And there are other countries who still don't have a complete thing at all, record at all. In that areas, this AI and connected data systems will be definitely helpful, where it will enable them to address more patients. Like this, again, as I said, AI is just an extension of you to increase your productivity and efficiency. It's not going to replace you at any time.
Right. I think with that we'll end this session. Thanks to such an engaging audience, and thanks to PSG College of Technology and its esteemed faculty members for having organized this event so meticulously well. Thank you very much, madam. And thanks to all of you.
I think we should give them a very big round of applause. Very patiently done, executed for us. Thoughtful. Each of you were a Brahma Rishi by yourself. This event was actually very challenging. There were so many protocols and guidelines by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. The first major challenge that they kept before us was, you need to identify panelist speakers who are below the age of 45 and who have excelled by all means in this particular theme. So I used to send, way back in April 6th, we received a mail from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports requesting us to organize Y20 in Coimbatore City. They do this for 50 cities across India, and Coimbatore was one fortunate city selected from Tamil Nadu. And this is today live broadcast across India, and it's a great honor for PSG institutions for having hosted this and this successful day. So I was sending resume after resume, collecting photographs, resume. They would not believe the resume, they would ask for the photograph immediately to check whether am I telling is, yes, this guy is below 45 or 40. So this hunt was going on from April 6th. One fine day I thought I'll tell them, I think it's quite challenging for us to take it up, because then I started using LinkedIn. Technology came in to help. So AI did help me. So then I started using my LinkedIn and started finding. And here I have a bunch of very, very esteemed, humble, I should say first. On one call, there was nobody who hesitated. They just said, yes, we'll be there. And beyond telling yes, I don't know, the sync was extremely wonderful. They understood what we wanted, what the ministry wanted, because they sit somewhere there and remotely control us. So the message was very crystal clear, and the registrations and the audience as well. There's such a very patient audience, all of you. So I think I'll take 2 minutes before your lunch to thank many people who have made this event wonderful. So the ministry also said the student body has to organize this event. So one of the most prominent student bodies, the SU of PSG Tech is very, very active. We have been given, we give autonomy and freedom to the students to do many activities. And the Global Leaders Forum and the Institution Innovation Council, these two bodies are very, they do a lot of enriching activities. The Model United Nations is always our cup of tea. We are known, the PSG Tech Moon is known across India. So the students of Global Leaders Forum also should receive appreciation, and the Institution Innovation Council. I have the convener and co-convener, ma'am, who have been striving hard to inculcate this entrepreneurial culture among these students. So these two bodies, we joined together collaboratively, and there was a perfect sync there as well. And I first thank God Almighty, because this day has went on really well as we thought of. And our managing trustee who gave us all the support on one go. and the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. Professor Pankaj Vasish sir, who guided us how to do this, how it has to go, because this has been happening in 50 cities. And Syed Ali, he had to leave because he had another meeting, the consultant who sat at Delhi and remotely helped us to do this. Thank you for your excellent guidelines. It was a great learning experience. And we missed on Mayor Madam. She had an emergency, but otherwise she had also given us a lot of motivation and support. And my special thanks to Sreekanta sir. No words to describe the patience, the involvement, and the commitment sir took on this panel discussion. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. My beloved principal, who trusts Global Leaders Forum beyond what we thought, and he feels we do very good activities. And my sincere thanks to each of the panelists. Nitin Jagannathan, thank you so much, sir. Dr. Aishwarya, you made this day great, wonderful. Navneet Malingan, the most youngest, and as I saw his profile, I really said, see, I'm an economics professor, so I should really learn a lot. So I want each of your support to learn AI, and so that I also coexist in this world along with economics. And Vivek Suryamurthy from Everstage, our own alumnus, so it made our job very easy. And Hanushri, you have really rocked us. So all the profiles, each of you have communicated the message, what was expected. And I'm sure audience would agree with me that there was a lot of learning from each of them. I couldn't even stop listening. Those people were coming behind me. I wanted to sit and listen because there was so much message in each of their sessions, and the 10 minutes. The timing was very, very precise and accurate. So I thank each of you personally at this moment and on behalf of Global Leaders Forum and Institution Innovation Council. And my special thanks to Vasantamani ma'am and Jayashree ma'am, who have been with me throughout this journey. It's a collaborative event, but still they used to guide me. I'm a little younger, so I take this platform to thank you, ma'am. And the press from various media, we have people here who are here to cover. Thank you. The Dean Placement and the entire placement team, actually, who helped us in the YouTube live streaming to stream it on their link as well, and for helping us to connect to Sreekanta sir. The placement team really helped us. Thanks to them. The Dean Admin, Dean Student Union, Dean Academics, the Dean CSRC, and the heads of various PSG institutions who said any support they could give us because of this event is really the need of the hour. And heads of all the departments of PSG College of Technology, the placement and alumnus coordinators who gave us the invitees list, and I see many invitees here whom I couldn't personally thank, but still I take this platform to thank you for your patient sitting here and listening to the inputs and giving your valuable suggestions as well, because these deliberations we have to feed into the Delhi Declaration, so your inputs have been useful for each one of us. And my faculty colleagues of IIC as well, Dr. Priya, Dr. Vairam, Dr. Palraj, Dr. Karthikeyan, Dr. Parthiban, Mariam Adnan Man, Uday Kumar sir, Sainath sir, and Krishna Kumar, who have helped us in the various aspects of coordination, right from hospitality to purchases to logistics, etc. And the student coordinators, Varshini and Rohit, they have done a wonderful job. I only trained them in a very short period of time. And I have the other students as well, some of whom I would like to take 1 minute to mention. Shifa, Sanjeeva, Shivatmika, Navneet, Mrityunjay, Gaurav, and entire team who have been working tirelessly for the last 1 month, because only by May we got the approval after sending all the speakers' profiles. So from there on, it's been a massive journey of working in and out. So this entire team of students, they deserve a great round of applause because they have been working and toiling to make this event great successful. And my last thanks to the supporting staff of this institution, right from the Management Trustee's office, the Principal Office, Account section, Controller section, Academic section, and the Placement section, and the Powerhouse and the housekeeping fraternity who helped us during these few days across. And canteen staff, a special thanks for all the refreshments and the wonderful lunch we are going to serve to you. So all of you, please take your time, have a relaxed lunch, and visit our campus and then leave. Thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.
शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय जय
Lunch is being served in the F block canteen, and once you're done with the lunch, you can come and collect your certificate.